But no, Beth York goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marbles. Kayla versus Allison and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory. Hello everybody and welcome back to more CVRcade World Cup Racing. My name is Jesper Anker and as always I'll be guiding you through the next, I usually say 2 hours. Today we have 2.5 hours of CVRcade World Cup Racing ahead of us. The event team said, you know what? It's ramping up. We're getting into the business end of the CVRcade World Cup. Let's see what these racers are made of. So we've got 5 races on hand today. And 2 of them, I think people are looking at going, ooh, that's gonna hurt. The first up is Summit Islands at the end. 3 laps is coming up. And then there's sudden lane change with a flat tire power-up. These racers, they are in for a good night of racing. Those that are doing 2 races back-to-back or 2 zones back-to-back, we salute you. First race coming up now, Aquavelo No Skill event. There's a racer today who's got a bit of a surprise. He went out and brought a new camera, so for the first time ever, we can actually see you, Jeff. It is a pleasure to finally be able to make out your face, Jeff. Welcome back to the racing, welcome back to the stream. How are the legs feeling today?
Oh, we'll see. It's like you said before, it's a combination we've got. Then finishing off with 3 laps of Summit Island, that's just completely cruel. So
You've got,
leg will be shot by the end, I know that.
You've got Velocity Vixen, you got Vibeke, you got Beth, you got Ryan. You have joined Velocity Vixen here. What's it like to be on that team?
Aqua here.
No worries.
Getting feedback from everyone. Sorry.
Always love hearing Beth York in the background sharing strategy. We'll come back to you, Jeff, as I think Velocity Vixen is knee-deep in talking some strategy. We've also got Casey Shum back in for his preferred zone. Casey, it's heating up at the top. We're coming into the seeding. Today is a day with the highest points ever on offer in the 5 races. How much does this mean to you racers?
Yeah, today can be a big day to jump up the standings for sure, improve those seedings. I mean, that's essentially where I'm at today. Is I've got 6 good finishes, but I can improve on a few of those. Coming off a little bit of illness, I'm in quite a bit of discomfort right now. So we're gonna give it a go here in the first race, but I may not make it too long. But we'll see what we got. But it is a good race for points and for seeding for next week for sure.
Now, we usually hear the racers go, oh, I'm feeling a bit tired, I don't have anything in the legs, and then they double whammy everybody. We'll see which Casey Shum shows up. Is it Sebastian Kuhn or is it Casey who's tired legs? Good luck racing today. Final words from a racer who's been on fire recently. Quinton, you're taking on the dangerous double today. 2 zones back-to-back. Big question is, why?
I actually have no idea. I think I just got... I took a look at the points that I could win, and I figured, well, I don't need a brain anymore. Just leave that aside.
Now, you still owe everybody a solo rendition of All By Myself by Celine Dion. Are you willing to go double or nothing today? Are you willing to sing Never Gonna Let You Go and Celine Dion, I'm All Alone, or nothing here if you win today?
You're not gonna hear a single word out of my mouth.
Thank you, Quinton. Good luck with the racing coming up. Aquavelo, 5 laps on display. It is a no-skill event. You have Uncrashable, Corner Caper, and a Quantum Shift with 1 comeback kit. It's going to be a quick first race here, but with 5 races coming up, get cozy, sit back. If you got a recliner, get back in that seat, because for the next 2 hours and a half here on CVR World Cup, we're going to have physical esports. First up, we've also got Niels Heldens, who's racing in today from Team Cycling Hub. The Tempest has had some form recently, and we'll see if that can translate to more points at the top. He went on to win the Omnium this Saturday versus Carl Axel Sander. We saw his celebration. Wonder if we'll see it once more today. Vibeke Bertram is in the racing. Kayla Laguna has made a return to racing as well. She's been out with illness, but today she makes the return. Beth York on the back. Good to see Neil Stewart, Kenjol Desai, Rick Woods, Paula as well. It's good to see the extended peloton all taken to the start line, but blink and you miss it, and this racing will be over quickly. Ryan Goldenberg also into the broadcast today, rocking the Peaks hat, it looks like, in the CVRcade World Cup jersey. But there's an attack off the front here. Paula has gone off the front, and it's Alison Kubota who is chasing it down with Vibeke Bertram on the front. 196. Paula is absolutely nailing it. They've got a lamb up for the slaughter here, a Velocity Vixen, and she's going to get caught. But is Vibeke Bertram going to go right on through? No, she sits down. Valiant effort from Paula, but a 200 equalized heart rate with 2 hours and a half yet to go for some of these races. An hour and 15 for these. We'll see if she can recover. Quentin is sitting comfortable, and with 1 lap to go now, we get ready for the sprint. This is only 30 points on offer, but they're all looking at those seedings. Look at Quentin. He is winding it up from 200 out. He wants to give it everything. He's side by side with Allison, and it looks like he may have mistimed it, as Alison Kubota on the front here has got the last meter to go. That's so close. Honestly, cannot tell. It somehow says Ryan won it on my scoreboard. I'm not sure. Or still everybody looks on in anticipation. I mean, as far as I could look on the riders nearby list, it said Allison all the way, but maybe at the last possible second, Ryan came on through. I'll look on the scoreboard. With 300 meters remaining, you can see that Quentin winds it up, but perhaps just a tiny bit too early, offering a draft to those behind him. They take the draft and they move right on through. Quentin does salvage a 4th place. Allison looking like she's in pole position with Niels Heldens just behind her. And, I mean, this has got to go back to countdown. I see it on the screen, and the nearby riders list doesn't catch up. But Ryan, I believe, with the official results in that race, you won? I mean, how close was that?
Yeah, it didn't look like it from my view, but I'm going by the scoreboard here. When I look at the times at the end, there was only 6 1,000ths of a second between me and first and Quentin in 4th. So that's how close it was.
Wow.
I think it was 1/1000 between me and Allison.
The craziest thing is those 9 points, those 7 points, they could make up the difference come the end of the day. And that's how close it is, Ryan. That's mental.
Hey, I'll take them. Yeah, like you said, big day for points, but anything I can get in the first event's bonus.
We heard from Jeff's audio earlier, a bit accidentally, some strategy. I believe we could hear Beth York's audio through. What's happening with the Velocity Vixen today? It sounds like you've got a battle plan.
I think part of it is just figuring out our audio. Because we're all trying to talk to each other at the same time. Yeah, and I see Paul in here as well, who I believe has joined our Velocity team lately. So it was awesome to see her going off the front in the first race. But yeah, hopefully Jeff and I can do, or a few of us on Velocity can do what we did the last time we did well on your course here, Jesper, the mountain bike course. So I won't reveal what that is unless people remember it. But yeah, should be good racing today.
I think the final question, while we still have a bit of time, Ryan, you've taken over the duties of Victor Lundqvist as the chef in the building. What are the snacks of choice today for Ryan Goldenberg?
Yeah, I've been waiting for Victor to come back so I can share some of what I've got, and maybe he'll share some of what he's got.
This is not third grade recess.
See what's in his lunchbox. Yeah, you have to stay for the 2.5 hours. I don't know if I'll consume it right up front here, but I've got some Canadian delicacies, some Haribo, some banana. It's kind of traditional, but we'll see how I feel, what my legs need as we go through it.
I like it. Good luck, Ryan. Final word from Nils Heldens the Tempest, who's also broadcasting and racing today. Nils, that last race, the difference in the thousandths of a second, is that a bit bitter, being beaten by such a tiny margin?
No, it's actually quite hilarious that it can be such a small margin. So, at the end of the day, it's just 1 watt somewhere in the sprint that made a difference, which is quite funny. But obviously, it's a no-skill event, so not a lot of points on offer, so I'm not too bothered, really.
I'm glad to hear that. Mountain Bike by Jesper is coming up. I'll let you get back to it and talk with Quentin, Timothy, and whoever else from the Cycling Hub squad are in there. Shout out to Paula. Paula hit 199 equalized heart rate in the last race. The max is 200. I mean, if you were at 200, as Beth would say, go out on the street, find a piece of road, run as fast as you can for 5 meters, and that, or 5 minutes, that is your max heart rate. I'm not sure you should hit your max heart rate after 5 meters, but 5 minutes, you definitely should be doing it. Timothy Tamont taking to the start line here. I know he's racing Zone L after this, so I think he's getting ready to help his Cycling Hub teammates. Nils Heldens on the screen. Look at how congested this is. This initial sprint is so crucial to get out and up the road. Get out, ooh, and Paula goes down. That's what you want to try to avoid. That's why Ryan finds himself up here with Beth, with Rick, Allison and Jeff also here as well as we pass the lake on the left. Nils is further down, Quentin is further down, but they've worked their way back from deficits bigger than this before. Jeff Rooney is broadcasting in today with a brand new camera. He wouldn't let go of the night sky behind him. We've still got the darkness surrounding the Jeff Meister, but we'll see if the legs can do the talking here as it's all coming back. Very congested. We've got 5 laps of mountain bike by Jesper. We don't usually get a high skill event this early on in the racing, so riders are fresh. They're ready to go, and this should make it such an explosive race because, ooh, Velocity Vixen there. All 3 of them kind of slowing each other down. I think, it wasn't on Ryan. I'm not sure if that was on Beth. And it actually causes Jeff to go down. Get that up on the replay here because I think it's Beth who over brakes into the corner. She's at 41 kilometers an hour here. And she goes down, down, down to 32 well before the corner. Catches the teammates Vibeke and Jeff off guard. And Jeff trying to recover from that move causes him to crash. So I still got Ryan up the road, but that is a mistake. When you try and race as a team, you want to try and help each other and not get in each other's way. This is a great shot here of the riders next to each other out on course. As you can see, Timothy, Ryan, and you got Allison in there as well. Now, I do see further down, we're seeing some struggling. Casey did offer to share some perspective on the racing if his sickness did get the better of him. Casey, what have you seen so far here on the front?
Well, they went out hard, and there's no wind here, so it's pretty straightforward drafting. But yeah, big numbers by a couple of teams here. I see 3 Cycling Hub, a couple of Velocity here, and then a CVR going off the front. This is going to come down to who doesn't wreck in the corner. They're going to be there went one right there.
2 and 3.
Yeah. This is a long race still. Five laps here with no wind. We'll see who uses the power ups if they. I would hold it together a little bit here and go a little bit later in the race, but we'll see how they attack.
We're seeing the lack of Frank Garcia is kind of unleashing the rest of Team CVRcade. You've got Kinjal, you got Rick in here in the front. Rick has been really strong. Do you think it's the time for one of them to come through and shine?
Yeah, they definitely have the ability. Rick knows the game really well. He's a really good support partner, but he has the legs to go do this on his own. He's just a very selfless racer. But today it looks like Rick's going for it and going really hard, pushing the pace. Quentin and Niels are holding on, and Ryan. But it looks like there might be a little gaps forming in there. Everybody's kind of doing their own work now. There's not a lot of draft right now.
And this is why we're seeing the early separation. The numbers that are being produced here, Casey, this is no walk in the park. You're seeing 370 from Nils, 400 from Rick. Do they know they've got Rocky Mountains 2 laps coming up after this? I mean, surely that's got to be in the back of their minds.
Yeah, that's the gameplay here, though, is you can take some points early and do okay, but you might fall apart later. So, you know, everybody in the top 7 now has a 180 plus heart rate, and we're racing over 60 minutes today. Oh, poor Ryan. Ryan is just having a tough go. He got blocked, and then he got wrecked.
He's trying to blame that one on Timothy, but I think Timothy's a lap rider who's standing still. If we've got the replay open, this is just not understanding the rider ahead of you. So Timothy is lapped, and he's out of the picture, can't do anything. Ryan sees him and wants to try and avoid him so he doesn't lose momentum for the second consecutive turn in a row, because it happened to him previously in Castro Corner, and here he tries to avoid Timothy, but not correlating with the riders nearby list. He goes into his teammate, and from top 3 down to 7th, that might come up to bite Ryan later on. But Rick is on one here, 1 lap to go. Casey, you raced this course so many times before. Does it get easier with the laps, or how is this course to race?
No, it gets really fatiguing. In the last lap, I always have it in my head to really attack the last lap because the laps aren't long. But when I go back and look at the numbers, I attack the last lap and only end up doing about 3% more than the earlier laps. They're just so shot from going hard. But yeah, I'm no intent to what happened to Ryan there. I think it was just bad luck and Ryan picking the wrong lanes. But yeah, definitely lap riders come into play here. And yeah, this last lap, Rick's dropping power-ups. They all are. It's going to be interesting here to see if he gets away. It's tight up there.
You've got wind at your back, you've got power plant. Quentin, Nils have used theirs. Allison has used hers as well. Rick is on to a winner here with how he's racing on the front. It's going to be tough to catch him, but it looks like Quentin and Nils are just trying to stay together here and allow for a draft to one another. This is Quentin's preferred zone, not Nils's. Nils is also racing the next one, but a latecomer to the racing. He wants all the points he can get, and with 200 meters remaining, it looks like Rick Woods, unless he crashes in Castro Corner, which we have seen before, but I think he's going to take it. The interesting dynamic now is amongst the 2 Cycling Hub riders. Can they figure out, are they going to talk together? Are they going to allow one rider to get through? Because you would assume Quentin in his preferred zone would take second place as Rick comes on through, and it looks like Nils also opens the door for Quentin. Beth with a fantastic 4th place as well from Velocity Vixen. Allison Kubota. I think Ryan Goldenberg will be wondering what could have been in that race, but plenty of racing coming up next. And that was just a 2-scoring multiplier, because up next is Rocky Mountains. That is going to hurt. But what was your takeaway from that race, Casey?
Yeah, the takeaway there is there's a lot of strong guys that burned a lot of matches there. They went really hard. They didn't save much, and I think we're going into a 25-minute race. So now it's going to be about who's got the endurance. That was a killer effort by Rick, but Rick went really hard. And the matchbook's going to be short now for a lot of those guys.
I mean, we're looking at the powers. We're looking at 1 path of least resistance. You can see, well, you can't because we're on the replay here as Ryan comes on through. The first thing some of these racers do is they click through the power-ups when they get into the warm-up session. You can see Quentin on screen now. They click through to realize, okay, I have 1 of each, or I have 2 of each, or this is the refresh rate, this is how the power-ups work, just to be sure, because you do get them back when the racing begins. You have 1 path of least resistance, 1 inertia, 1 weight lifted, 1 quantum shift, and there's a wind. And Casey, the wind here, if the racing wasn't brutal enough, usually we have 7 kilometers an hour wind, it's 11. How does that change the dynamics?
Yeah, this is a big wind, and this is a good course for wind. And I say good because it's a lot of fun. You'll see a lot of crosswind, a lot of diagonal echelon racing, fighting for the wind. So people that understand the wind and know where it's coming from can rest a lot more than others in this one. This will be fun because this will be about who can conserve but burn the matches when you need to stay with the moves.
We'll see how it pans out. Thank you, Casey. We'll just get a word from Quentin Molyneux, who did cross in second behind Rick Woods with Nils in third. Quentin, you were chasing down a hungry bull on the front, Rick Woods. What was it like trying to chase down the green jersey ahead of you?
It was tough. It really was one of the toughest things I've done in the last few weeks, because I thought I could I could close the gap with the power-ups, but he still had his, so no go.
Brutal. It looked harsh as well, but now Rocky Mountains, 2 laps coming up, 11 kilometers an hour wind. I see you've got Timothy online with you. Did you bring him out of the pit lane? Did you say, Timothy, we need the support, or how has that been orchestrated?
I'm not sure how we got to this point, but I think we all just agreed to just race both zones, and depending on the zone, we picked the person who we work for.
I like it. Team Cycling coming out to play. Thank you, Quentin. I also have Ryan in here who, not once, but twice had some poor luck in the last race. Ryan, we saw you in Castro Corner come down to about 14 kilometers an hour. Then you had to avoid Timothy Tamont. Are those mistakes you want back, or what's happening?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there were a few times where I hit a left rider, and I'm going to attribute it all to my fault. So, yeah, those are points I'd like to have, but I mean, good racing from everybody in front of me to stay clear of those, human barriers, virtual human barriers.
Well, if they're lab riders, I believe you go right on through them. Or at least I mean, you're supposed to, I think. So if you had continued on Timothy, I think you would have gone through. But that's a science experiment for another day. Done is done, Ryan. This race coming up, you're 5th, you got Beth in 6th, 20 seconds to go. I'll let you get focused. So the racing is warming up. 11 kilometers an hour wind. You heard what Casey said. There's crosswind galore coming up in this one. I did not know it was 11 kilometers an hour wind. These riders, they're gonna be in for a fun but interesting exercise in just about a second as the racing gets underway. The power-ups, we'll see some maybe use it early on to try and attack. We'll see some save it for later to try and perhaps win a sprint. But we also, again, we're going to take the advantage of having Casey in here in the broadcast, unless he is I think he may just be opting to try and stay with the back. We'll see what Casey is doing as he is rocking around with Beth further back. As I see a thumbs up from Casey. Casey, you're out there, you're experiencing the wind. What's the wind like?
Yeah, it's a headwind right now. Once we get going up the hills, it's going to be a big crosswind and maybe a little tailwind going up the hill. So it should be interesting. I'm going to try to spin the legs here. I can't keep up with the front, so I can stay here and chat with you guys, but trying to get the legs moving.
Oh.
You can see big headwind right now.
We just caught a bit of a block there. I think Sharon accidentally had a bit of a disconnect, and so did Rick Woods. If we have it on the replay, we see here the green riders. I think that is Rick, who's having a bit of a mechanical, slams on the brake, and 3 Velocity Vixen members gets caught out. This is not Velocity Vixen's day when it comes to having luck on their side. Beth, Paula, Vibeke Bertram all get taken out, and that 6-second gap, Casey, it can be quite tough to make up.
Yeah, it's 6 seconds, but it's also 25 minutes of racing. So we'll see how that works out here. If you got a good motor, you can get back. It's just going to cost you a little energy.
We've got Velocity Vixen on the front as well, laying down the herd. Jeff Rooney is attacking this on the front as we can see him side by side. Nils Heldens, Timothy Tamont. We got Ryan and Quentin. This is a low skill event, so there's no crashing in this one. Riders will be able to just bump wheels and stay upright. The stabilizers have been deployed. When the wind is this active, it really comes down to taking turns on the front, because Nils is already at 192, Quentin at 181. The effort they've just done, they've really got to stay in with it. But Casey, you've been in situations like this a lot. You've been in breakaways. How do you ensure that the group starts working together?
Yeah, here they're going to have to work together. A lot of that is trying to stay positive. Don't try to do anything to slow the group. Keep everybody in a good mood, right? Don't light any fires early. You've got the bots chasing here at near FTP power with a lot of riders sitting on them. It's going to take intentional rotations at the front above 360, 370 watts to stay away from the pack behind. At 25 minutes, that's not a small task to stay away from these guys, especially with Uncrashable. They aren't going to wipe out in corners. And there are real riders sitting in this peloton behind just waiting. And if they get up there, they will be strong.
It's also fascinating to see that the teamwork is being on display here, because Velocity Vixen have 2 riders in this front group. They have Jeff, they have Ryan. Cycling Hub have 3, but Velocity Vixen also have numbers chasing behind. Beth and Vibeke just deployed their power-ups, and if we go back and check how long or how big the gap is, Beth and Vibeke are just about 3 seconds back. 50 meters perhaps is the gap here. They've already been forced to use 1 power-up, and Beth is laying herself on the line for Vibeke. I am good friends with Vibeke on Facebook, and her posts after these CVRcade races are amazing. She always goes through and says, oh, I could have done so much better in this moment, I feel good, and now Vibeke is going to bridge across. So the move and the help from Beth, she's going to try and get across to her Fox friend further up, Jeff Rooney. Watch out for Vibeke Bertram here, but this is where it gets tough, Casey. We saw this on Saturday. You can be within like touching distance. You can almost reach out, grab the lycra of the person ahead of you, but then lose the gap. How does that work?
Yeah, you get so close, but that front group is all kind of taking turns, taking drafts at the front. I can see there's always somebody going 400 or 500 at the front ahead of them. So it's going to take an all-out sprint, an all-out effort to close this 4 seconds. Sitting at 400 or 500 is just not going to do it. And it can be demoralizing a bit being just off the back. The reality of it is you sometimes can't just motor back up and burn that 3 or 4 minute match. You need to just put on the gas, everything you got, 30, 40 seconds and get there and then rest and refocus.
It looks so tough. Timothy, she is doing it. She's actually getting back on. She is, with the help of Timothy Tamont, who messed up the rotation. I think Timothy spent too long on the front and just blew his motor. And when he came off, he actually blocked Quinton not once but twice, and so combined with Vibeke Bertram doing it, she's actually putting in a fantastical effort. Timothy Tamont, a bit of a wrecking ball maneuver, taking out his road captain, and now I'm not sure Nils Heldens is aware of the situation at hand. He's sticking around 300 equalized watts. His 2 teammates have been dropped off this group, and at 195 he is now applying the pressure. This situation is getting complicated here, Casey. Does Velocity Vixen now start doing the pacing?
Not knowing who they're racing for in each group, it's hard to make a call on what each group should do. I mean, essentially, there's the Velocity has 2 guys up the front with 1 cycling hub. They can try to keep that away, and it's 2 versus 1 at the end. But the next group behind has 2 teammates coming for cycling hub. If you let them back in, it's kind of all square. I think the second group, cycling hub, either has to resort to, I trust Niels can win it against the 3, or we just have to pull Vibeke back, because Vibeke shouldn't work here. She should absolutely sit on their wheel, period. And if she's the selection to win, the cycling hub guys or the Velocity guys up the road just need to sit up and let her back.
So intricate, like the gameplay decisions here. Let's not forget they're making these decisions at near max heart rate. So while you're figuring out where am I on course, how are my legs feeling, you at the same time have to figure out, do I bridge, do I not bridge? And it looks like Cycling Hub are using this incline to their advantage, and they're trying to drop Vibeke here, Casey.
Yeah, so they use the track to their advantage there. The Cycling Hub guys having a lot of experience now and knowing the track. They attacked on the uphill. Vibeke is just running tempo, and now she's solo again. So unless a teammate comes back, she's going to have to close this again. And we're getting into the downhill where some people can get a lot of rest. So that was critical for her to make that move with them. It's going to cost her, if not a chance at the win, it's at least going to cost her a lot of matches to get back into this now.
Interesting development I'm seeing here is that Quinten is gapping the group. He's letting the front group go and then having to sprint back. He did say that chasing Rick down was possibly the hardest effort he's had to do in a very long time. And I think we're seeing the toll it's taken on. Like, let's not forget, this course, especially 2 laps in this wind with this direction, is brutal. But again, energy management comes into play. Did he spend too much? He's been so good in this Zone K, but today he looks to be in the hurt locker despite having the help all around. And so far, unfazed. I mean, there's a big differential between Ryan's face and Quinten's face. Now, you can't judge all the suffering on pure looks, but it does tell you something when you look at the posture. But they did manage here to drop Vibeke, Casey. She almost got back. They used their track, and now she's kind of stuck in this no man's land.
Yeah, she's going to have to do this on her own, and I think Cycling Hub is going to work to keep her away. In the points perspective, I mean, Ryan is really the cycling or the velocity guy with the points up here. So they're going to be playing with Ryan and protecting that the most, I would expect. And Niels is doing a lot of work here. I agree. Quinten's probably got some matches burnt here and might be suffering a little bit. But Niels is also going really hard now. So it'll be interesting how this affects long term on who's got legs left to finish today.
Yeah, let's not forget Summit Islands comes up at the end.
Yeah.
Oh God, this
Ryan's
is going
doing
to be
a good job
fantastic.
of not covering moves.
Yeah, he's
Ryan's
doing an excellent job.
here.
And when you think about it, Casey, when you look at the preferred zones, Velocity Vixen have somehow managed to get 3 of their riders with preferred zones all into this breakaway. Now, Vibeke has just been dropped, but both Jeff and Ryan enter this race. And they also get an extra 4 points because we have 5 races and not 4 like we usually do. So they actually get 20 points on top coming into this racing. And that could be massive because the only Cycling Hub rider with that bonus is Quinten, which means that Nils, if he's the chosen one, he looks like he's got the legs, he will need to win by 20 points or more. Plus, he's already at a disadvantage for not streaming with a matching jersey here, Casey. So, Cycling Up with Quinten on the attack here, what are they trying to do?
So we're coming up toward the end of the race, right? So I think what they're doing here is Quinten's going long. If he can extend a gap, the rest of his teammates will sit up and make Ryan and Jeff work. And then it'll be turned over to Timothy or Niels to sprint at the end.
Let's not forget there's another lap after this.
Okay, one more, okay.
Yes, one more lap after this. So at this point, I think most of them wish that they could just sit in and wait for a sprint. But the hill you've just seen, the descent you've just seen, they're going to have to do it once more. So I think I agree with your assessment. I think Quinten knows that he's a bit of a hurt locker, and he took a page out of Frank's book. It's much better, like, mentally and motivating to be the one doing the hurting than the one on the receiving end. I think he was trying it, but sometimes we also see that backfiring. Jeff, though, has been dropped out of the back. His web camera looks to have been disconnected, but he is just 2 seconds back, 1 second back. You've got to be careful you don't let the gap get too big. And Ryan is in a danger sandwich here with Cycling Hub all around him. What can we expect from the next ascent of the climb?
This is going to be Cycling Hub, I think, putting the punishment on, or at least that's what they should be doing. And Velocity has to do everything they can to hold on. And it'll also depend on power-ups here. If you are sitting on power-ups, you're content to sit in the group. If you've already burned some power-ups, it's time to hurt some people and try to shake those power-ups out of your opponents before the finish.
Oh, it looks like Jeff is officially just letting up there. The gap is growing in the wrong direction. It's now 3, 4, 5 seconds, and the second Velocity Vixen member has gone. He's using inertia, but he used inertia at 25 kilometers an hour. I know it's a straight-on headwind, but that won't do him much. Ryan here is actually getting the biggest advantage of the draft as they have to move around. I'm interested because, we're starting to see the tiny bit from Timothy. I think Timothy's going to deploy some blocking here, Casey. What's your take?
Yeah, it looks like Cycling Hub is going to try to sneak somebody off the front here. use their bike as a little bit of a roadblock. And it looks like Jeff tried to exhaust all his power-ups to get back, but I think it's probably a little bit too late and probably not used at the right places. But yeah, I think, and Ryan, you see here, he's working hard to keep a wheel ahead of Cycling Hub. He saw what they tried to do, and he realized, I can't let them in front of me. And the new lane change dynamics allows him, once he gets alongside them, they can't get over in front of him. So Ryan is now pulling a gap. The two Cycling Hub guys at the back now have to go on their own if they want to stay in and help, because Ryan will close this down, and then it'll be 1v1 unless Timothy and Quentin work.
I'm not sure if that attack succeeded for them or backfired, because yes, they did want to get a rider up the road, and they succeeded in getting Nils up, but by getting one rider up the road, they lost two riders at the back. So it depends on, in the end, does it play out the way they want it, because that will be the move that they look back on later on, and they will dissect it and see if that's going to be the case. It's on the screen now. You can see Nils on the front, Ryan chasing it, then Timothy Tamont here, excellent teammate with path of least resistance being deployed. But this is just brutal. Don't forget, we've got sudden lane change coming up after this. That's got a flat tire power up. I mean, that's going to turn into a bunch of sprints at opportune times where somebody uses the power up. And then we finish with 3 laps of Summit Island. We're in the 3rd week of the bracketed session, and the 4th week will be the tournament. That's what everyone is looking forward to now. The seeding is so important, and that's why today's points matter so much. You really, really want to be top 2 on the seeds here, and that's what everyone is racing for. Can they knock off the 2 riders at the top spot? Nils has really been doing good. We see Quentin on the screen as well. He's left Timothy behind and is officially on his own. What goes through your mind, Casey, when you're in a world of suffering? Because we've seen you do this time and time again.
Yeah, at this point in the race for any of these, especially the front 2, it's like, okay, I can't burn all these matches for nothing. And you just have to focus on this race at this point. You can't worry about the next one. You've already exhausted so much in these 20 minutes that you can't do it for nothing. So you've got to maximize points at this point. Ryan and Niels have to be committed to go all in. There's no saving here. You maximize the points grab, and you deal with the next race when that race comes. It looks like Quentin is going to, settle for 3rd place here. He's not actively chasing. He's just keeping a little pressure on there. And Niels is staying at the front, which tells me they're kind of racing for Niels here. Personally, if I were Niels, I wouldn't pull Ryan here. I would make Ryan work. If Quentin comes back, that's okay. That's my teammate. But you see Paula's coming too. A little ways back.
Where did she come
did
from?
Just pass. Yeah. Timothy Termont's gone now, and it looks like Jeff and Paula are coming. And that's not an insurmountable gap with the climbs that are going on here.
The bots are down there as well. Orville, Thomas, Robert, they're just dragging along Allison. This is the highest scoring multiplier event in here. But there's E4, there's a E5 event 4 and 5 after this. And now Ryan is the one dishing out the pain. I don't think Niels was intentionally staying on the front, but Ryan will try and ride Quentin further back. Paula has been phenomenal today. Race 1, she came out that's almost at a max heart rate. Here today again, 197. She's coming out to show. But the power-ups, Casey, as Niels is being distanced, he's in trouble. Ryan Goldenberg has got legs here, but the power-ups are still in play. Inertia is gonna be crucial. What's the most opportune time to use it on a course like this, Casey?
It depends on the combination of power-ups you've got here. I think inertia here, there's a little trick with the weight lifted in the inertia here to get a big number. And if somebody has that combo, they can use it appropriately on a slower section. So we'll see. The weight lifted always isn't the best on the hill. And that's my insider tip for the day.
Oh, Casey Shum sharing some of the wisdom that's gotten him so high up in the standing. So do take notes, everybody. Master speaking. But yes, the inertia power up here is going to make a massive difference, especially you want to try and use it into the headwind as well at a high speed. You saw the straightaway is a 28 km/h max speed thanks to the massive headwind that does entail. So perhaps you wait for the sprint finish. That's going to be tense. Niels and Ryan, the way we look at the scoreboard, only 3 points differentiate them, but the bonus points that Ryan does get from racing his preferred zone, from having matching kit, that's what Cycling Hub have to overcome here. Ryan has already raced against 2 of the Cycling riders, dropped both of them, and 1 remains. Nils and Cycling Hub did get rid of Vibeke and Jeff earlier on, but now it's mano a mano, 1-on-1, and the hill is coming up, and you can see the distress on Nils' face. Could also be concentration here, as he understands what he is up against. As Ryan, his avatar stands up, moves over to the side. If you had to make a prediction, Casey, who do you think's got the upper hand?
I think Ryan has the upper hand between the work that Niels has done and the experience on the platform. I think Ryan has got the upper hand here. He's using the power-ups now, getting a gap. This is a good point to put Niels in the hurt locker and make him chase back. I don't want to say what I would do in this situation because I don't want to give them the way to win necessarily. I want them to figure it out on their own. But yeah, Ryan's got a big gap now. Ryan needs to kind of ignore what's going on behind him, use his power-ups, and just ride the course. Finish it the best that he can, and just make sure he's holding the gap.
Look at the inertia differential. We saw that the inertia from both riders being popped simultaneously. Nils was at 41. Ryan was at 62. Now, that sequence, I think they should go back and look at, because the sequence leading up to the power-up uses there was so decisive. Nils tried to catch Ryan off guard, but I'm not sure he knew which power was the quantum shift, and so he came on through. He tried to sprint through Ryan, I think, on the hill. He had the right idea, but I think the execution could have been better, because he sprinted into the back of Ryan, got a 2-second gap. Then Ryan used Path of Least Resistance, attacked over the top, and then used inertia. Meanwhile, Nils, struggling, hanging on for dear life, used inertia while still on the incline, and that's why the gap is now out to 10 seconds. Casey, do you ever wait if you're Nils and try and work together with Quinton?
They're close enough that you could, but it's probably too little bit of racing left. Like, if they had another lap, I think it's time to form up as a team and go. But with the 10 seconds here, I think Nils has to put the pressure on. If he wants a chance back at it, he's got to focus on my speed has to be faster than Ryan's, my power needs to be above Ryan's, and just start nipping away at it, and maybe Ryan will fade. Keep pushing him. The other part to this is, if Nils pushes Ryan, Ryan has less legs against the full team for the next race. So don't give him a gimme, make him work.
That is a great point. Casey Shum delivering some more nuggets here as Nils is in the TT tuck. Nils looks rather comfortable. We've seen him rather red in the face before. Here he looks like he's in his zone, 188, and he's going to town on this. I'm severely surprised here by Ryan's physique to just go over the top and execute. Looks like he's come in with a plan to win today, and in his preferred zone, Velocity Vixen really shining on through. 1.6 kilometers remain. Nils is not letting Ryan have this one easily, but I think at this point they're both looking forward to the next race. Ryan is still spending a lot of energy here. Good racing all around, and I think he's going to want those points at the top. Quinton fighting to keep the Velocity Vixens at bay. Paula, Vibeke, Bertram, excellent racing from the Vixens, and we'll see as Rocky Mountains in Zone K is going to come to an end in about a kilometer's time. I think the story of this one, Casey, really just was teamwork. Like, if you had to dissect the ways they played out, Velocity Vixen versus Cycling Hub, do you think anything could have been done better, or did both teams play that the way they should have?
No, I mean, there's always improvements, right? You can't ever accept, even with the win for Ryan. Like, I actually feel like Cycling Hub played the team card a little bit better. Ryan just has the experience in the game and had the legs to get that one over on Niels when it got down to a head-to-head battle. But I actually think that the Cycling Hub teamwork in the first lap was probably what I would have favored, just because they kept the numbers up there longer. Clearly Quentin and Timothy backed off later. They're saving it for the next one. Yeah, so there's always something to learn. I think, Ryan personally executed very well here. He conserved, he sat in on Cycling Hub, and that was the only thing he could do as kind of an individual lone man at that point. And he did it perfectly.
But now that facade is starting to crack. You can see the suffering starting to show as the glasses have just slid down the nose ever so slightly. Sweat started to come through. That relief, I feel like I could feel that all the way across in this side of the pond. Kudos to Ryan Goldenberg. Velocity Vixen, that is a race you can hang on the trophy case as he comes into the straight headwind as he wipes the sweat off his face. Same goes for Nils and Team Cycling Hub. Now I think Nils might be waiting for Quinten. Oh, Casey, what do you make of this?
Yeah.
If they let Quinten take the points, why not wait the entire time? Why wait until now?
I think it was maybe the hope of maybe just exhausting Ryan. If Quinten was saying, I burned too much last race, I can't beat Ryan, Niels just stayed there to push Ryan and to waste energy out of Ryan. So this tells me they're racing for Quinten. Quinten got second, Ryan got third, or Ryan got first. So, Ryan still pulls a little gap on him. But this is the second or third time in the last week I've seen Cycling Hub do this. This definitely shows more than any other team I've seen to this point, probably, just flat out, I'm working for one rider, I don't care. Because a lot of times in the past, we're seeing when they get to the finish line, they're not full sitting up. It's like, if you can stay with me, I'll give you the position, but I'm not coming back for you, is what I've typically seen on Cade in the past.
It's fascinating, though, because there's going to be some arguments whether or not, what's the point of pushing Ryan? Maybe you could have helped. It's the whole conversation of positive and negative racing continues. Very fascinating, but nonetheless, great effort from Cycling Hub. And this does actually put them in the lead. Quinten leading 1 point ahead of Ryan, but Ryan Goldenberg, you were up against it in that one. Velocity Vixen was dropping off one by one. You stuck with it. Talk me through that race, because from where I stand, that looked pretty legendary.
Yeah, it brings back memories of that race on Saturn a couple months ago where somehow I found myself with the Cycling Hub guys. I don't think I needed to finish first in that one, but it was just mentally exhausting with that whole team up there with me. And Jeff was there with me too, helping out. So kudos to him for sticking as long as he did. But yeah, no matter what happens in these last two, I'm proud of that one for sure. And Quentin's good on this sudden lane change, so I expect him to come out strong.
That was excellent to watch, Ryan. Good luck in this next race on sudden lane change. We'll get a word from the Cycling Hub campus. Quinten, that looked rough. It was a good race. You really pushed each other to the limit there, both Velocity Vixen and Cycling Hub. You had three riders in the front. There's one move where it looked like Timothy tried to get Niels up the road. What happened there from the Cycling Hub perspective?
I think the main thing was that my legs weren't feeling that great, but after I saw my 20-minute power, I noticed that I was pretty much on point with my PB. We just decided to just have somebody follow Ryan at least, and then perhaps slow him down a little bit. That did happen at some point, I think, but I didn't have the push in the legs to actually close the gap.
Well, regardless, that is next level strategy, and I'll commend you on that because I did not see that while racing. That could pay off later on. But Niels waiting for you, Timothy coming out to show. Is there anything you want to say to your teammate? Because that last race was team versus team, and that was pretty epic to watch.
Yeah, massive props to them. Timothy keeping an eye on me, and Niels doing what he did. I mean, the effort that he put down was not to be scoffed at. And then in the end, realizing that leaving me the most points was the best thing to do. I mean, can't ask for more in a teammate than that.
Love it. 36 seconds to go. I think everybody needs all the oxygen they can get into their lungs. A sudden lane change comes up next. One flat tire and one on crashable is available here in sudden lane change. How that gets used, it's going to be fascinating, because if you use flat tire while somebody else on crashable, I think it still does make you have a flat tire. I think it's inertia that does counteract it. But we'll see where you use it, how you use it. There is 5 laps of this. 2 scoring multiplier in this one. Everyone's eyes will be on Quinten and Ryan near the top as the racing continues. Once more, the 4th out of 5 races here in Zone K. Make sure to follow down below if you're enjoying physical esports. One of many races on display as Ryan already goes down. That effort taking its toll. Down in 12th, he hits the very first barrier possible, and Quinten Molyneux, you cannot take him lightly on this course. But we do again have Casey in the broadcast. Casey, the number advantage here, because flat tire is given to everybody. I think Velocity Vixens have more team members than Cycling Hub. How much is that going to matter when it comes to power-up usage?
The flat tire is going to matter. I don't know how to use it that strategically other than it's just a nuisance and it breaks your rhythm. And this is a rhythm racetrack. So even as the leader, if somebody drops that flat tire at the time that you're sprinting on one of the longer straightaways to maximize distance, it's going to mess with your head and you're going to over sprint the next corner. And trust me, they are going to use these flat tires, and there's, I don't know, 15 players in here to drop them. They are going to start getting angry.
Oh, Akela just went down. Jeff's on the front. I think everybody is just waiting for the first one to kind of take the lid off. And once the lid is open, everyone goes, oh, flat tire, oh, flat tire, oh, flat tire. And that salvo of sprints, that's going to really be something to watch. The fireworks are going to be on display here. Ryan is moving his way up, but he is 28 points down on Quinten. And I think he's going to need this gap because Quinten seems to have more tire legs than Ryan. And considering the next race is possibly one of the toughest races you can do physically, which is 3 laps of Summit Islands. And there's a good interview with Ben Shuilong going live on Friday about his track building progression and why exactly did he make Summit Islands, that course that nobody really seems to like, even though everybody kind of likes it. Quinten goes to the right, Beth moves to the left, Niels is further down. When do you think we can expect the first power-up to be used here, Casey?
I think you said it. I think everybody's sitting on it and they're going to be like, if nobody else uses it, I'm not sure if I'll use it. But when they start dropping, I think we're going to see a lot of them. Quinten here, it's just about staying focused, and he's already in lap traffic. He's got the gap. Jeff's 5 seconds behind. It's rhythm, 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 and just stay here. You don't have to do huge amounts of power. You can kind of rest. So it's hard to say rest, but you can get your legs back under you in this race compared to the others, but you cannot take your eyes off the screen for a second.
Now, we have seen before, as Beth goes down, we've seen before in Summit Islands that Quinten does cramp up a tiny bit. So despite the gap being 23 points down to Ryan here, everything is still up for grabs because the last race, anything can change. Nils is the next victim here of Ryan Goldenberg's crusade to get back on terms with the front 4 here. As Nils comes through the pylons, you can see he's having to reach out and change the keyboard. That does change your rhythm because a course like this, you want to be in the flow. You don't want to have to change the way you ride on the bike, and that allows Ryan back in. Only 19 points behind, and he's got Beth further up and Jeff. We'll see if they pull a cycling up. But we've got 1.5 kilometers to go. It's Quinten. Ooh, that is skillful. Just avoids Mini there, Casey.
Yeah, I was like, I was getting ready to be like, oh no. And I'm noticing Quinten is just holding his speed, right? He's not accelerating. He's playing safe. So every single straightaway, the people behind can gain on him if they sprint, but they got to make sure they're not overpowering the corners. So right now, Quinten's just kind of settling in, keeping a safe speed all the way throughout, and eyes up the road. You know, he's got one bouncing around in front of him now. It's a teammate, I believe, so they'll just kind of get on opposite sides of the road and get away from one another. And there they wreck.
This is nerve-wracking to watch. We've got 1 kilometer to go. Not a single power-up has... Oh, I spoke too soon. There it is. Jeff Rooney, watch the salvo. There's the second one. Here comes the sprint all around. Ryan has made it back into 3rd. He's got Jeff up the road. 2 power-ups have been used. No big effect just yet. I think Quinton's lead may just be so large that no amount of power-ups can really get him back. Because what you need to do is ramp it up, use Uncrashable and power and the flat tires. Kim uses his at the same time. Quinton uses his flat tire back, saying, "You take that," as he throws cake back in the face of Kim Fairchild. Now you see Quinton. This is a danger move because he's getting into the rhythm, Casey. When your legs aren't quite doing what you want them to do, but you're still succeeding, that's a big confidence booster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Quinton's got a pretty safe lead here. He's just got to keep doing what he's doing, remembering that every flat tire is slowing everyone else down too, especially when you see them back to back. If you see two flat tires back to back, the person that used it also got flat tired by the other. So you kind of everybody just has the same effect. It's just a really long last lap.
I think everyone kind of messed up by waiting this long. I think if you use the flat tire in the first lap, if you can really ruin somebody's rhythm in the first lap, that's where you can just make or break somebody's race. Now, it'd be interesting dynamic to do this race again and then see that scenario unfold, but we will not get it. It's an interesting development we're seeing now. So many flat tires have been popped as Beth does another one. I think at this point everyone's going, I'm not even going to bother sprinting. I know as soon as I start sprinting, there's another one coming. So Quinton, Kim Fairchild, he doesn't quite trust Kim, so he goes to the right. 200 meters remain, and Quinton Molinez will take his first win of the day here on Sudden Lane Change. Great racing from Quinton, great racing all around here. Masterclass on how to race this course as he can come through to the finish line. As you can see him celebrating. Now the next step is what happens to Ryan and Jeff, because Cycling Hub specifically put Quinton in a winning position. Will Jeff slow up to let Ryan take the points, because he desperately needs them to win the Omnium, but Jeff will also want to move up. Jeff crosses the finish line and will not give up the points, and we're seeing different strategies from different teams here. Allison with a great fourth place, taking points away from Nils, who's currently in third, and then further down we've got the rest finishing. Nils can be happy with that, and on to the beast we go, Casey. 3 laps of Summit Islands to try and describe what's just coming up next for our viewers.
Yeah, this track is awful, especially awful for me. I think the hardest part is it's really the only one I can think of that's got this hard hilltop finish. So it's a pretty short course, and that hill is just a little bit too long to be an attacking type hill. I don't know the exact timing on the hill climb, but it's a few minutes, and it always seems to destroy me late in the event. And I think a lot of other people, I think Quinton's already acknowledged that too. You can get a gap early and you are not safe, because if you struggle on that hill even to hold 450 equalized watts, you will get caught, no doubt.
Oh, I cannot wait. So make sure you've got 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Go refill your popcorn, go get another snack, refill your water bottle, because the beast is coming up next. Quinton, congratulations. Sudden Lane Change, another masterpiece. How do you do it?
Just keep it steady, stay focused, and just don't look at the others. Just ride your own race and get in your own rhythm. Because it's been said so many times before, this really is a race where you need to find a rhythm and stick to it. And that's just it.
Now, the power-ups didn't look like they made a massive difference. The flat tires were popping in the last kilometer. As a racer, were they more like mosquito bites? Were you more like, oh, what are you doing? And just continued, or what happened?
Those were mosquito bites where the mosquitoes had malaria. They really hurt.
Well, in the end, you overcome it, you found the cure, you won Sudden Lane Change. Summit Islands, final words before you take on the beast for the first time today.
I think I'm gonna quickly shoot a Hail Mary or two to make sure that I don't die on the last climb. Because like Casey says, it can kill your leg so quickly and so easily that it's a really tough race.
Well, let's get a word from the chaser, Ryan Goldenberg. Second place, also preferred zone. Ryan, that last race, I think Jeff took 6 points away from you. That would put you only 9 points behind Quentin. Could that come back to bite you later on?
It could. I'll say what a controversial thing again, which is Jeff needed the points more than I do. But that aside, without getting into that, yeah, I've got to beat Quentin by a few places. Like I think first and third wouldn't even do it. Maybe first and fourth, but my legs will struggle to get first. I don't remember the last time we've done 3 laps of this. So yeah, whoever designed the layout for today, I'll have some words for you. Either way.
Well, good luck, Ryan. 35 seconds remain. Shout out as well to Nils Heldens. We haven't spoken much to him in this zone. Next zone, obviously his preferred zone. We'll take some good time speaking to him then. But Casey, 24 seconds remain. What's your prediction? Will somebody else be able to overcome Quentin, or do you think Quentin will reign supreme once more in Zone K?
I think Quentin just has to minimize mistakes. I think Quentin can do this. He just has to pace himself. Everybody has to remember 3 laps. Don't forget that last lap.
How many do you think is actually going to forget it and go 2 laps and go, yes! And they're like, wait, there's another lap?
Whoever's on the front going up that first hill is going to be like, yes, I can break away. And they will get caught on the second hill. Like that is what I do every single time. Maybe they've all learned from me. I don't know.
We will see now. As Timothy, I think Quentin is forcing out a mistake from Vibeke and Allison here. He's staying 1 lane over, just staying on the brakes, but both Vibeke and Allison is streaming in here today. She's also doing back-to-back zone. She's gathered a lot of attention recently over on Facebook for being awesome and wearing a full aero suit. I support it. I think it's awesome as they now hit the climbs out on course. First climb coming up here. Ryan and Jeff at the back, and Casey already early on. We're seeing separation here, but 3 long laps. Do you think this is a strategized, slow and consistent move, or do you think this is a sign of weakness?
Yeah, no, I think this is good here. You got Timothy on the front, Quentin holding his wheel. I think this is a good move. Don't forget the corner speeds on this descent. This descent is tricky. So there will be mistakes here in the next 30 seconds. Somebody's going to go down on these corners. I'm sure of it. Quentin got close. Yeah, Quentin whipped by his teammate there. Good call there. It looks like Timothy sat up. But I don't know. Quentin's going out bold right now.
I think you have to. I think you have to race with confidence. I don't think a defensive race on CVRcade wins you very often. I think you have to come out, make a statement. Oh, his face right again. Okay, there's making a statement, and then there's pushing it to the limit as we have the instant replay coming up. So what's happening here is the corner speed, because he's going so quickly, it's throwing him out, and he is pushing it to the very edge. And if he crashes here, it's back down to P6, P7, and the grit of his teeth, you can see he is feeling it. But now as well, Casey, you're going up against... Oh, never mind. Allison is struggling to find the right gear. That looks tough. I was going to say, there's some riders that when Summit Island comes up, they rest up the entire day, Casey, and they just go for this race. Vibeke is ready. Kim Fairchild's on the front. How much are they going to mean to the racing?
Yeah, they do matter because they can go up here and give you a tow or give you somebody to chase. Quentin's already been passed by 2 riders. And for whatever reason, it seems like whoever's in like 5th through 8th place in the overall point is who dominates this race. Like it's the person who's just been floating around in the back half of the front group all day. All of a sudden, they've got the legs to just crush us here.
I always suspiciously look at the riders nearby list when it's Homer Thompson. I'm like, Homer? How dare you? No! And then I'm like, oh, of course, this is Homer's favorite track. He always pushes it. For some reason, some races, and we're seeing Kim Fairchild right now on the front push it here. And this is a racer who is a part of the development team. He's racing in, he's gotten a trainer, he's learning how to ride the game physically. Now, the first race out, Casey, this is your inexperience on Summit Islands. You do one lap flying. Explain to the viewers the feelings, the sensations you get on the end of the second, and then maybe the beginning of the third lap.
Yeah, it's always you get excited, you get to that second hill climb, and Kim's going to be like, yes, I'm going to dominate this hill climb, got to get over it one more time and then do the last lap. And he's going to get about halfway up that hill climb and be like, oh, I went too hard here. And then all of a sudden you're going to look up and somebody like Viveke or Allison is going to be doing 500 equalized watts and just hunting you.
It's gonna be fascinating to watch now as Ryan, Quinton on your screen. They are dominating the top of the leaderboard. Quinton, big story of the day here, 240 points. And that is before any bonus points. We're going to be in the 300s for Quinton, and that's going to secure his #1 spot as Nils trying to force a mistake out of Ryan. And crashing a knot, this still forces Ryan to overbrake a tiny bit. Kim Fairchild, though, on the front. Now, for anyone racing Zone L or anticipating Zone L is starting in 15 minutes time. 15 minutes later than usual because the racing is longer today. So if you're either waiting to race Zone L, it starts in 14 minutes from now. Or if you're excited to watch it, you're sitting here thinking, where is Peter Castro? Where is Sebastian Kuhn? Where is Timothy Tomont? Well, don't worry. They'll be on your screen in 14 minutes time when that zone begins. But we're watching the conclusion of Zone K in the CVRcade World Cup. The prize purse is $25,000 physical esports that is physically equalized, as Viveke Bertram here putting out a great performance. Kim Fairchild, he's not come below 400, but I feel like we might have an Icarus situation on our hands later on. Casey, only a lap and a half to go now, second time up. Could Quinton blow up here? Because he's already gone from the first spot down to fourth.
Yeah, I think Quinton's just conserving here. He knows Ryan's behind him. His win is safe. He doesn't need to go any harder. I think he's protecting now. I think he'll work to stay in front of Ryan. I think he'd even be willing to let Ryan pass, as Niels, his teammate, is right behind Ryan and would probably give him that spot if he needed it. So I think Quinton's conserving. I think he'll make Ryan push. I don't think he's sitting up by any means, but he's not looking forward. He's not chasing ahead of him at this point.
Oh, weight lifted from Quinton. I'm seeing a smile from Quinton. I think he's far from tired. The way you can see him smile, it's so confident. Like the change, Casey, from Rocky Mountains to this. Try and describe just how happy he looks here.
Yeah, well, and Quinton doesn't have a lot of risk at this point. Like, he's got to completely blow up 30 seconds back to probably and see, I think this is exactly what I was saying earlier. Not that I told you so necessarily. I'm actually surprised. Quinton is already, he's coming up on the leader. He has the pressure on the leader right now, sitting here fighting for second place. So, and Ryan is coming with a power up. So this is still game on for the win, I think. I mean, we've got 10 seconds between the leader and fifth place. And in that 5 places is both of the people fighting for the win overall on the day. 2 times points multiplier. There's a lot of points here.
There's a lot of points, but also we're so focused on first and second. Niels Heldens and Alison Kubota are separated by a half a point between third and fourth getting on the podium. Viveke Bertram, breakout performance once more in fifth. Jeff in sixth. Beth in seventh. Paula further down in eighth. And now Allison has taken the lead on the front, as now you can watch Ryan has passed Quinton. He's still 7 points down on the leaderboard. He needs to catch Kim, needs to catch Allison, and he's deployed 2 power-ups. There's still powers remaining, but I think Ryan mentioned it before. Deja vu, Summit Islands. He needed to win, but it was Niels Heldens breakout performance on CVRcade. He stole the victory from Ryan that day. I think Ryan has just laid there. He just had been restless during the night. He's had bad nightmares thinking back to the last voyage up here on Summit Islands, and now he knows what he needs to do, Casey. It's very much on, and now we can see Ryan chasing up to Kim.
Yeah, I'm trying to look here to see what the points gap is, because one spot between them, it looks like Quentin still has the lead overall. But the other thing not to forget here is not just the Omnium, but the overall points. Good use of a power up there by Quentin. Good use. He's getting a big run into the hill here. This is a good move to get back to Ryan. Very well played there. He probably will roll past Ryan at this point.
Ooh. Ryan tried to put a block on him there. That's usually when your legs are going, I don't have too much, I need to instigate a block. And that's what we saw from Quentin and Ryan. Now Quentin is on pursuit. Allison in the meanwhile, rockstar Allison, Casey. Like the mount she races, I'm surprised she doesn't win more Omniums because she's rock solid. I mean, as Kim goes down, what's the missing factor from Allison from being dominant? Because she's always second, third, fourth, wins the stage, but she lacks that last step on the podium.
Yeah, I believe Allison is very much an FTP or TT type rider. She rides right at that threshold level. She can crank out a pace on the front. She can work so hard. I think it's the attacking and the variation in pace, I think, maybe that catches her out. And I was a very similar rider to that when I really started my indoor racing stuff. So I can relate to that. My FTP matched, and my ability to sit at threshold matched everyone I was racing with. But when they started lighting it up and covering moves, I had too much of a tendency of burning myself out doing the endurance work. So this works in Allison's favor, I think. And she's going hard up the hill now. Quentin is chasing hard. Quentin is not going to give this up. And I still think he can get there. Allison had her power-ups, though. This might be all she wrote. And this may be Quentin and Ryan just battling it for a second here.
Awesome Omnium today. Allison in good position to take third. She's also got preferred zone here as she passes Kayla on the left. They win here for Allison Kubota, Team Cognition.
CVRcade.
She's coming back as well. So she's catching her teammate. I think this could be a very interesting finale because I don't think Velocity Vixen, as much as they sing Kumbaya and Hakuna Matata, I still think there's a bit of ruthlessness in that camp. They're lacking a big victory. Jeff took the point away in the last one. I think we might see Vibeke try in this one, but this is the most brutal point, as Vibeke does have a chance to catch up, but 100 meters to go. One turn left. Allison coming to a halt. We look back, she struggled on the first climb. She managed her way back. And Allison Kubota, calm and composed. But Vibeke Bertram looks to be able to take second place. Fantastic racing from the Velocity Vixen racer. Takes second, fifth overall. Quentin has just got to finish off the last 50 meters. These are the ones that hurt the most. But Quentin Bolognese takes third, takes the Omnium, and Ryan comes over in fourth and second on the podium. Nils has to finish off this. He will let go of the third spot on the podium to Allison Kubota. But thank you so much, Casey, for joining me in this zone, helping me with the commentary. Massive joy. What's been your highlight today before we go and talk to the racers?
I think it's just the good team efforts. There wasn't a lot of the frustrating style races. There's not a lot of things for them to get off here and be upset about with one another. They all raced really hard, head to head, and they just executed well. Quentin's going to be tough to beat. If you go back and look, Quentin is going to be tough to beat across the board through the rest of the World Cup. Almost every time he comes out, he's top scorer.
There you have it. Last few words from Casey Shum. If you've enjoyed it, give some love for Casey in the chat as we get ready for new VMix callers to come in and join the broadcast. We're watching the final few highlights of the last race and we'll get a word from Quentin Molyneux. Now, I'd love to go speak to Allison as well, but unfortunately, Allison does not have audio capability with her streaming setup, so we'll just have to love her awesome arrow look. But there you got it, Quentin Molyneux with the victory. Congratulations, Q. Now, that set of events, a tough Rocky Mountains, a tricky sudden lane change, mountain bike by Jesper was one of the hardest efforts you've done. Where does this rank in your victories on CVRcade?
I mean, oh, this was very painful. I'm not sure if I want to do this in Zone L again. This was horrible. Whoever was the person, the spawn of hell that created this set of events deserves to be punished.
That is awesome. That's funny. I'm sorry for laughing at it, but from our point of view, that was epic to watch, Quentin. Congratulations. Now, you heard what Casey said. One of the biggest competitors of yours here in the Zone K says that you are the man to beat in the CVRcade World Cup. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's always great to hear that people are starting to see that I might be a threat.
Is that a chip on your shoulder?
No, not at all. I'm taking the compliment, really. But I'm pretty sure Casey knows that he can't put himself in an underdog role either, because we both know that, I mean, he's going to be, in my eyes, going to be my biggest competitor so far for the World Cup, so we'll see.
I like it. I can't wait to get into the bracketed session tournament. Thank you, Quentin. I hope to see you in Zone L, but I totally understand if you want to curl up in a ball and die. So we'll let you decide if we'll see you on the course or not. Ryan, second place on the Omnium. You pushed your hardest. What was those 5 races like for you?
Yeah, no, I think it was a good lineup. Rocky Mountain took it out of me a little bit. Summit wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, maybe because we had sudden lane change in the middle, which is no easier than any other course, but it does offer a little bit of a break on the legs, depending on how you ride it. Nose good. Well done, Quentin. Yeah, you and I don't know what we're thinking, showing up here again on Aquadello, but we'll see how it goes. Round 2.
Round 2. Velocity Vixen, have you recalibrated the compass? Have you looked at how you raced the last zones? Have you chatted amongst yourselves?
Looking here, I don't even know that we've discussed who's sticking around for another one. Maybe in the 3 minutes to go, I'll jump back. It looks like Viveka's in, so she and I will come up with some remarkable strategies to see what we can do against Quentin and the rest of the crowd.
Love it. Thank you, Ryan. Now, the unsung hero of the last race. We saw him a lot suffering. Nils, fantastic racing in the last one. The podium just slips through your hands. But as a team effort, taking that top spot, now coming into L, what's it like? Are you ready? Second race of the day, second zone of the day?
Yeah, excited is one way to put it. It's going to be fun. So it's probably going to be pretty hard on Rocky Mountain again, and all the other races. So yeah, it should be good fun.
I like the sound of that. Good fun coming up. I'm sure I cannot wait to hear discussions afterwards on the Riders Forums. Nils, let you rest up and get ready. I do see we're being joined by a few other racers. If Peter Kastrup is able to hear me, I'd love to get a word. I think he's all rocked and ready with the classical music, so I'm not sure if you can hear me. Let's try it. Peter, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
That's great news. CCC in here. You said earlier to me today you're all zen. Does that mean you're ready to rock and roll here?
We'll see. I'm not sure. You can say anything you want before the races, but the truth will come out. So we'll see.
Watching the last few races, watching Summit Islands, is there any things your legs are telling you, like, Peter, it's not too late to jump off?
I didn't watch it. I didn't want to watch it. I don't want to see what what I have to expect, because the lineup for this evening is terrible, I think.
Oh.
What I have heard, it's really hard today. So
Terrible
okay.
in the best possible way. Good luck, Peter Cashler. The Flying Dutchman is in here. Final word goes to friend of the show, king of the bottom left-hand corner, the mustache man, the man who likes Kinder Bueno, Timothy Tamont. Fantastic teamwork in the last one. I saw you joined in Rocky Mountain. You helped on Summit Islands. What compelled you to jump on your bike an hour earlier than you were originally supposed to race?
Yeah, just the teamwork. Looking back at it, we really worked well together, helping on Rocky Mountains. Oh, those headwinds, they're a killer. So I did like a lap and a half to help them. So it was good. Also a nice warm-up, if I say so. So we're good.
Ooh. Are we going to see the tables turn here? Because in the last race, you helped Quentin, you helped Nils, Nils helped all of you. Both you and Nils, I believe, have this as your preferred zone. It's how do you decide which chief goes first?
Oh no, we're gonna work together as much as we can here, and Quentin's gonna help on the tougher courses again, like I did. So yeah, we're just gonna smash it. We're going for that double omnium.
Love it. Good luck, Timothy. I do see we've got
Cheers.
a new racer out here. Jonathan Giron, Pocket Rocket. I've met this man before racing virtual real-life races. Now, Jonathan, if you're listening in, remember you are a CVRcade cadet. The first few races racing, you will experience a different experience. I recommend you keep racing. You'll rank up to being a CVRcade competitor, and then you experience the full effects of physical equalization. We've also got Sebastian Kuhn in here, the man, the myth, the legend, the German judge. And he rules with a firm fist here, as we can see the racing getting underway on Aquavelo, the no-skill event, as the racers are in here. Sebastian Kuhn is joined by his teammate again from Cognition, Alison Kubota, the winner of Summit Islands 3 laps before. She did very well on this course, and we now watch them get ready. The group is all together here on Aquavelo. And with 1 kilometer to go, everybody resets, gets a deep, deep breath, because they realize coming up is Mountain Bike by Jesper, Rocky Mountains, Sudden Lane Change, and Summit Islands. Now, massive thank you to Casey Shum for being my co-commentator in the last one. For this one, I'm here all by myself. We're still waiting for that song, Quentin Molinese. We'll see now if we're going to get a bit of rickroll in there now that he's won another zone, or he's going to let down the entirety of the Mixer chat once more. Shame on you. 2 laps remain as we get ready for the sprint. Allison still stays on the screen. Peter Kastrup is in here. All sen. Has he been able to practice here on the no-skill event? As a rider just lets go of the back group. Homer Thompson is in, and he's actually going on through. Homer Thompson, CCC, catches everybody sleeping. And now the last lap is coming up. Allison lets go of the group, uses her comeback kit, and 200 meters remain. Still nobody has gone except for Ryan Goldenberg. He wants the maple syrup on his pancakes. Here he goes. 100 meters remain. Timothy with comeback kit. I think it's gonna be too late. And for the second consecutive zone in a row, Ryan Goldenberg takes the win. Peter, I think, gets third, with Timothy Tamont in second. I saw 1,400 equalized watts from Timothy Tamont there. Big power output from the Belgium out of Team Cycling Hub. Ryan Goldenberg making it 2 in a row, taking the initiative and going off the front while everyone else, they kept waiting and waiting and waiting. Homer Thompson caught a few off guard, but he didn't commit to it. And in the end, the first to initiate, the first to activate the power, was also the rider to go on to win. Ryan Goldenberg, look at him, really tempting, wanting this one. You can tell the concentration on his face as he keeps looking over. And when he wins, the pure joy as we get cut short of that on the highlight. Ryan, congratulations, second in the last Omnium, but the 2 numbers also good for you as you win both Aquavelos. I know we've spoken about it before, but have you made any other realizations on these no-skill events? Because before we spoke, you said, I know I can do X amount of seconds in a sprint. again, it worked for you here.
I think there's that. I think it's the timing. And I think it's also the track of these no-skill ones. Like, I've watched Echelon a few times with no skill. I haven't raced it as much, just based on the day that it happens. But I feel like people go from farther out on that one, which, I don't know, maybe it doesn't suit me as well. Something about, I think, when you can see the finish down the road on Echelon, people just go way earlier, or it's more unpredictable. But I don't know. Maybe I'm the king of no skill, which I don't know. Does that mean I don't have to?
Well,
I don't know what that means.
I think there's a massive bidding war for that title, and I think you've just won it. So congratulations, Ryan. Now let's get a word from Timothy. Timothy, you let yourself go from Ryan, then used comeback kit to get back on. We saw 1400 equalized watts, but it got close. Peter almost caught you.
Because I stopped sprinting in the last corner, because I knew I had the speed. But yeah, I wouldn't say he went too early, he just went perfect, and I responded a bit too late because I did my sprint twice. I sprinted to get in front of the group, then used my combat kit, and then sprinted again. So I think that's what got me. Maybe if I didn't use it and just kept sprinting, I don't know. He just did it really well. Kudos to Ryan.
Mountain bike by Jesper coming up now. You've done this once before as a domestique, now as one of the team captains.
Half of it.
What's just half of it? Are you going to do half of it again, or are you going to complete it all?
I might do the full 5 laps this time. Yeah, you never know. Might be handy to get some points.
Last word, clip it. Timothy Tamont. We'll see how it pans out, Timothy. Good luck in mountain bike by Jesper. Peter was third, but we've also got Sebastian, and I want a word from Sebastian because it's awesome to have him back in. Sebastian, it was Alison Kubota, your teammate, that won the last race in the last zone. Are you going to carry that cognition luck into this zone?
I hope so. But last race I pressed the wrong button. So this was not my best effort.
There's something with you and no skill events, because there's just got a highlight up of last race we did where you incorrectly counted the laps. So Sebastian, thank you for bringing great entertainment to the stream. I wish you luck on mountain bike by Jesper coming up, and I wish you luck pressing the right buttons at the right time in the right combination, which is the winning combination. 30 seconds remain. We've got Niels Heldens back in for more. He came fourth in the last race. Neil Stewart is ready. Homer Thompson is in the racing, always a joy. And Vibeke Bertram going in for back-to-back zones. She is hooked and ready to go. Fifth in the last Omnium. What can she do in this Omnium? 10 seconds remain and we get started. 5 laps of this course that I actually created using the track builder, and so can you. If you're interested in hearing about the track builder, all you gotta do is wait until Friday for the podcast or the talk show to come out talking about the track builder with the track build master himself, Ben Shuilong. Homer Thompson, Niels Heldens out of the gate using their 1 wind at their back. You get 1 wind at your back and 1 power plant. Niels opting to use it early on here. So does Allison with her power plant. It gives you 100 extra watts, which is the measurement we do to measure the power in which you push down on the pedals. Cognition's on the front, cognition on the screen. And Timothy Tamont, Peter Kastrup, both racing their preferred zones. All these racers need the points. Regardless of whether you win today or not, you can make up some of your best performances over on Cycle Data. The CVRcade World Cup is through 9 weeks. We've come to week 7. Now, week 8 is next week, and week 9 is the week after that. I know some of you out there saying, duh, but yes, that is how it works out. Week 8 will be the bracketed session tournament, where the seeding makes all the difference, and that's why they're racing today. With so many points online, racers are opting to go again, and Peter Kastrup plants down the flag. This is why it's called Kastrup Corner. Peter goes, hey guys, remember me? This is my corner. And early up there, a quick mistake. I'm not sure if he caught it on the replay, but you can look from above. Coming into the corner, he's in third place. He's at 30 kilometers an hour. He's actually accelerating into the corner. So I'm not sure exactly what was happening there for Peter, because he was in the right spot with the right speed, but he was accelerating into the corner. So mental mistake from the Flying Dutchman, and with all the points mattering today, that can be a tough one to make up. Ryan with Power Plant will come through. Homer Thompson here. Allison, Neil Stewart is up here. But Timothy Tamont at 192 is 2 seconds up from a hungry Sebastian Kuhn. He wants to get back on turn. This is the sort of terrain he likes. Mountain biker by heart. And you can see the mountain biker in the game, pushing the pedals here, wanting to get up. Side by side are two leaders. Timothy Tamont into Kastrup corner. Brakes, goes through safely. Sebastian Kuhn also maybe a bit hard on the brake, but it's not going to matter if you got the power to back it up. Neil Stewart goes down. Homer Thompson goes down. And we've got 5 laps in total. We'll see how they play this one out, because we saw in the last zone, every point does matter, but it gets tough. You gotta go on Rocky Mountain. You've gotta go on Summit Islands. You really gotta distribute that power in the right way. And I mean, kudos to Cycling Hub. In the last race, I particularly questioned whether or not waiting for Quinton was the right choice on Rocky Mountain, but it panned out, and they pulled off a great victory in that. Peter Kastrup, though, he's got a way of doing this. I'm not sure exactly how he does it. He has a way of having an early tumble and then just aggressively riding on through, taking off one by one. This is Peter Kastrup passing Niels Helden. So the two Dutchmen trading spots here. Niels says, "Thank you very much, Peter. I'm going to try and get in your draft. Wait for me." But Peter Kastrup is having none of it. Now, what we might see now is scars of earlier crashing. Peter may just try and brake too much here, perhaps. We'll look 37, 36 from Peter. You can go down to about 32, down to 29s, safely on through. Meanwhile, on the front with, a rider goes down. Half the racing remains as Sebastian Kuhn comes on through and forces Timothy here into putting in a bit of an effort. Sebastian wants to drop him on mountain bike by Jesper. 190 equalized heart rate from Timothy, 188 from Sebastian. So both riders on the limit of what they can do right now. And next time we cross the start-finish banner, it will be the last lap of racing. But when we look from above, it is the Wasp, the Bumblebee. A man singing loudly at the end of the night. Peter Kastrup wants to get back on terms, and he is absolutely killing it. 800 equalized watts. Look at this. He's got this very unique pedaling technique that he's using in the game. He goes really hard, sits back down, rests. Goes really hard, sits back down, and rests. And his Kastrup technique is really paying off. But I think he's got to be careful coming into Kastrup corner. 1 lap remains. The butts are up the road, and everybody gets safely on through. 1,400 equalized watts from Peter Kastrup. Power up gets thrown down by Peter Kastrup, and Sebastian Kuhn off in hot pursuit. Timothy Tamont thinking of what other hot foods are up in the front now. He's trying to catch back up as Jonathan Duron gets passed on the right. He is further down with Caleb with Vibeke fighting. Niels Helden's also getting back. But right now, it is Peter Kastrup in a winning position. A mountain bike by Jesper. Oh, Timothy just touches wheels with Sebastian. But wind at his back. He's got one last go and he barely gets in now. And he can see the yellow jersey up the road. He knows that every point matters. Velocity Vixen rider gets past. Sebastian Kuhn here with wind at his back as well. But it's going to be too little too late for him. The racing remains on the front. Peter versus Timothy. Kastrup corners coming up. Timothy's trying to force a mistake out of Peter. This is fantastic racing. 100 meters remain. Into the finish they go. Side by side. Timothy Tamont pulls off a great coup on Peter Kastrup. I tip my hat. That is a lesson in how to race. Mountain bike by Jesper. This is your student, or this is your teacher, Timothy Tamont. Peter Kastrup, great comeback. Without the crash, he would have been solely in the driver's seat. But that finish needs another dissection, because how that played out, Timothy Tamont optimized his race-winning strategy. So he bridged back using wind at his back. Sebastian tried to, but it was too little too late. But when Timothy gets back, he doesn't just settle on the wheel of Peter, because they know that Kastrup corner determines who wins the race. Whoever exits the corner first, whoever goes into the corner first, is really who is in the favorable position. Peter braking, Timothy knowing how far he can push it, and when you come to the finish here, Timothy just smacks it, and the celebration from Timothy, we actually only caught the back end of the celebration. Epic. Timothy Tamont, masterclass in that finish. Oh, he gets, well, Timothy, congratulations, good race there, fantastic. You saw Peter get away there. Was there ever a moment you thought, oh no, all this racing, all this effort, it's going to be for nothing?
Oh no, I still had my wind at my back power up, so I knew with like a small sprint I'd get back to him. And then it was, yeah, like you said, just tactical play. Got right to the right of him, and he had to brake more than me, so it's just like a small kick and after the corner that did it.
The celebration though, my man, we've seen that once before. The celebration, the last time you did it, you won the Omnium. Today you pull it out again. Is this a sign of what's to come?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
I like it. Good luck.
Feels
good luck.
Good.
Good luck, Timothy. Rocky Mountains. Peter Kastrup in second place. We'll get a word from the Flying Dutchman. So close, Peter. The crash in Kastrup corner could have been a heartbreaker, but you still get second place. But that sprint, do you wish you could have taken that one back?
Timothy played it really well. He came back and he went to the outside, so I knew I was lost. Then I should have gone to the outside first. But sometimes you just don't think during these races. But he did well, he deserved the win, so kudos to him. And the stupid crash, of course, in my own corner. I accelerated before the corner. That's a no-no. Okay, but we learn, we make mistakes.
I like the attitude, Peter. Rocky Mountains coming up. This is a tough race where you're going to need your teammates. Is there strategy amongst the CCC riders that are in the squad?
There never is. Sorry to say it, but
I love it. I love the honesty.
I try to be in front, and who's with me is with me. And if a teammate is with me, we can work together, try something. But first, we have to be in front and take it from there.
I like it. I like it very much, Peter. I love the fact that you guys never have a strategy. I commend that. Good luck in this coming race on Rocky Mountains. Final word from the rider who pushed Ryan to the limit last time. Nils Heldens, last time you waited up for Quinton. Is going to be the same thing here, or is it all out for you?
We'll have to see how the race goes. I think that obviously what Peter said, CCC are going to want to take it by the horns. But it's 30 seconds left, so yeah.
Good luck. Good luck. I'll let you get ready. I get it. 25 seconds remains. Nils Heldens in game phase mode. If you just tuned in, this is physical esports. They're riding their bikes. It powers their avatars. Currently available free to play in open beta on a computer. So go to CVRcade.com, download it today, and get racing with the rest of us. As now the racing begins once more here on Rocky Mountains. We're watching Peter Kastrup on the front as 2 laps of Rocky Mountains are ahead of us. Last time on this course, it was Ryan Goldenberg as Timothy Tamont, Jonathan Giron coming accelerating by there. Good to see a new racer hitting the early slopes, but a 197, he's pushing it here. He wants to try and break away. When you are a new racer on CVRcade, it does take a while to get accustomed to it, but Peter's trying to get up. Timothy, this is a section of a straight headwind. 11 kilometers an hour here is by no means an easy stretch to come into as Sebastian is further back. They're actually being dropped here. Niels Heldens is the second man on the road, so we're seeing the first separation being made thanks to Jonathan Girone on the front. Niels Heldens, second man with Homer Thompson on his wheel. We're seeing Sebastian Kuhn here into the headwind, just letting go of the front group, perhaps just trying to find the draft, trying to find a rider to stick with as he is just rocking around here. And now we move on forward. Ryan Goldenberg, I mean, at this point of the racing, I'm sure that Alexa's starting to hurt a tiny bit. Done so much racing. He's just saying, come on through. And so does Sebastian. He's looking for the maple syrup, but there's not. It's over the other shoulder, right? It's the other shoulder as he's trying to look over. But Timothy, Peter, Jonathan Girone. The reason why Jonathan Girone's heart rate is at 232 is because it's his first time racing on the platform. He's pushing out some excellent watts, but also the system. When you come in as a CVRcade cadet, it's finding out who you are. How strong are you? And this is why physical equalization works, because no matter how many years you've ridden a bike, no matter if you come in pushing 20 watts like I do, or you come in pushing 700 watts like Timothy Tamont, you will be able to ride, race, and train together thanks to physical equalization. But it just takes a bit to getting used to, and that's why we have CVRcade Cadet, CVRcade Competitor, CVRcade Master, CVRcade Pro, I believe it is as well, near the top. Niels now and Timothy. Timothy is in a bit of trouble here. Is his second Sona racing. Quentin got the help from the cycling boys, but it looks like he's dropped off the bike, gone into the shower here. So perhaps they'd be wanting and wishing for a bit of help. We also heard Timothy wishing for some help from Quentin, but none they shall receive. And this means the Flying Dutchman, when the winds are high, the sails are set, and right now, a Flying Dutchman, Peter Kastrup, with a cadence matching the washing machine downstairs, is rocking away. You can definitely tell there's a good week's laundry in there as he's waiting now. Let's just hope he didn't match the colored with the white as we see Peter Kastrup attacking away. I've got my executive producer next to me just shaking his head, so mainly because he does most of the laundry in this household, so it is all good. Peter Kastrup rocking away. Jonathan Girone here, considering he's being a CVRcade cadet, the effort he has to produce to be in this position is worth talking about. The American races for KRT, I believe, KISS Racing Team. If not, he's left long ago. I'm not sure. My knowledge of that is way out of date, but he's on CVRcade, racing the CVRcade World Cup, and this means he's going to get seeded ahead of the racing tomorrow. Let's not forget, we're racing for $25,000. Winner of the Elite Series Omnium finish will take home $3,000. And so racing in this seeds you into the tournament. And then there's the grand finale in week 9, where the winner takes home $5,000. Does that sound like a lot of money to you? Sure does to me. All you gotta do is get on your bike. The game is free to play. And then ride. And then because of physical equalization, everybody has got a chance of competing fairly at the top. Eliminates a lot of the inaccuracies as Jonathan Girone tries to slot on the back of the wheel. And now we look, Peter Kastrup in the yellow, chasing behind is Niels Heldens. They're both racing their preferred zones, but Niels is at a disadvantage due to the lack of his matching jersey. But the freight train today has arrived on time. I mean, Peter Kastrup has got plenty of baggage with him today. Look at the enthusiasm. Look at the excitement he's racing with. He's really struggled as of late in CVRcade World Cup racing. He was dominant in the days of the closed beta. He was a wrecking ball. And recently, he struggled. But now it looks like he's found his mojo again. Peter Kastrup is up the road, and he is causing a bit of attack. He's causing some chaos further back, and now The chasing group is Niels Heldens, Homer Thompson, Timothy Tamont, with Jonathan Girone letting go, and I think he's just going to try and stick with the bot further back down to Timothy and Niels. Now, this is not game over. After this is sudden lane change, and I think both Timothy and Niels know at this point that that's perhaps a course they're better suited on. So if they can eliminate the big differential of points up near the top, they've got a great chance coming into the next one, because when you look at the points differential right now, it is only 12 points difference between the top. So we'll see how the racing pans out now as, I just got a message from Quinton. There seems to be, he raced quite hard in the last zone. So physically, I don't think it's actually possible to get on the bike here in the next zone. So I think there's a place for that. So we do respect it. Quinton pushing out. You can see Timothy shaking his head thinking, what is this? What is this? But I think Timothy and Niels, despite Peter's attack off the front, they're actually in a good position here. Because if you bring down the scoreboard, and we understand the races, we've watched them, we've been with them for so long, the gap is only 7 points down to Timothy and further down to Niels. If they let Timothy, if they race for Timothy here, coming into sudden lane change, Peter has been struggling with those high skill courses, but on the other hand, the Flying Dutchman, the absolute just killing machine when he's on it, that is Peter Castro. If he stays upright and has a somewhat decent sudden lane change, doesn't lose too many points, on Summit Islands, I think that's going to be 3 times up that final hill, where he's just going to be hammering in nails in everybody's coffins. Oh, one cycling rider up, dung, dung, dung. One cycling rider up, dung, 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 dung. Got an extra nail for good measure. I think we're seeing that right now in this race. Further back, you got Alison Kubota just working with the bots. Homer's been distanced from the 2 cycling riders, so he is of course trying to get back on terms. Sebastian Kuhn is down with the bots. He's here with Alison Kubota. Legs getting back into it. Jonathan Girone also learning about the drafting dynamics in CVRcade, the realistic physics. I read a post that was posted on CVRcade Facebook the other day. It was like, fun fact, did you know that CVRcade not only has the most realistic physics of any simulation cycling game out there, but it also calculates the dew point, the air velocity, the altitude meters of speed, the tire pressure, the pressure of the brake calipers, or I might be over-exaggerating on a few of those points, but nonetheless, the takeaway is that CVRcade is very intricate in the way that it calculates all the physics, and we're seeing it. I mean, it feels and looks and definitely races like real cycling. Peter Kastrup is just so strong coming into this fresh, determined, and pushing off the front. The 2 Cycling Hub members, though, they're in a better, like, the scoreboard doesn't always tell the full story. With the racing coming up, sudden lane change after this, they're saving a bit of energy, they're working together, taking turns. Niels has perhaps struggled a tiny bit on Country Rally, sudden lane change, Dark Matter Velo. Maybe this could be the day he makes it up. Timothy does very well. Peter, we saw him crash in Castro Corner, so he's going to need to absolutely dominate this. And he also needs Homer to come back and take some points. But the racing is far from over. Homer opens up some points. Sebastian is not too far back. Ryan is not too far back. So 1 lap remains here of Rocky Mountains. 9 kilometers left, and you can start to see Niels Helden's face. The smiling, confident man we had in the first zone is slowly being replaced with a bit of a grimace, a bit of a pain face here, as the second time today they're going to take on 11 kilometers an hour winds, gusts, Hurricane Cade coming in to play here on Rocky Mountains. But what can you do when you're up against the Flying Dutchman that's just consistently pushing out power? 600 equalized watts, down to 400, up to 600 watts, and down to 400. Now, what happens next? Because in the last zone, we saw Quinton feeling the legs a tiny bit. He didn't quite finish off. Ryan was down there. But every point ended up mattering. Like, Ryan's points that he lost to Jeff on sudden lane change really made the difference on the mentality in Summit Islands. But here in Zone L, there isn't, there's one dominant team on the front right now is cycling up. CCC have got first and fourth, but the bots are reigning supreme further back down. We go to the bots and check in once more on the bot patrol. We'll see if they're chasing cars down here as they've got riders up the road. They can see Homer now for the first time in a long time as they enter this stretch of road. So that's one rider as Jonathan Giron accelerates and gets back in on the front. As a commentator, I can tell you this, I'm so excited when new riders get involved because this platform, CVRcade, is honestly so engaging, so immersive. But you know the best thing about CVRcade? It's you, it's you, it's you, it's you. The community is honestly so exciting. And yes, at times it gets a bit heated, it gets a bit spicy when blocking gets involved. But you know what? That's just what, that's what it's about. If you're indifferent, that's the worst thing you can be. And CVRcade invokes all these emotions. And you saw Timothy when he crossed the line the last race. The celebration on his face. And you've seen it again with Quinton, with Allison, with all these racers, as Jonathan Giron here, not happy with the status quo and wants to try and bridge across to the front. Now, onto the headwind. This is the brutal section of the course into a straight headwind after you cross the start-finish banner. They come down to like 28 kilometers an hour. So when the event creators go to set up the events, they have an option to select how the wind is going to affect the race. You can turn on rain, you can turn on other weather altercations, but most importantly, and the thing we see the most in the racing, is you can turn on wind, and you can turn on the magnitude and the direction. Now, usually, we have a soft wind. We have a 4 kilometers an hour or a medium wind of 7. They put it up to 11! Like, not only do we have possibly the toughest set of 5 races you could imagine, they've also just upped the wind. So this is a brutal race that is sapping out the energy. But the craziest thing is they're having a lot of fun. Like, this is where, when the racing is over, they've taken a shower, hopefully, they sit back down, they get some food back in, and then they watch this stream back and go, I made so many good memories here. As you can see, Timothy standing up here, waving. Well, he's still the mustache man as far as I'm concerned. I still see the mustache on his face. So, Timothy on the wheel of Niels here. Niels, he's just off in pursuit. Jonathan Giron, Homer Thompson, he's actually bridged across here. So Jonathan Giron is not too far off the back. And I could see a possible change here where Jonathan Giron, the blue rider you see on your screen, he could get back up. Like, the effort he's putting in as a Cade cadet, as somebody, as their first time racing, this is phenomenal. And for him to leave the group behind, go up, to even be in the first group to begin with, I think Timothy and Niels, who's only 12 seconds up the road, you can see them just around the corner, they've got to be careful. Because if Jonathan gets back, especially with the power-ups, you see Homer here into the headwind, he needs a breather. I mean, we all remember his epic victory on Hypnotic Highway. Here, he's forced to use his first inertia and only inertia. Peter, in the meanwhile, 900 equalized watts. He is loading up for an inertia. Look at the power. Look at the pace on Peter Castro. 99 all the way to the top, and now 60 kilometers an hour is the inertia that gets set at. So, very, very intense racing here from Peter Castro out of Team CCC. He's got a 30-second gap on the leading group behind him, and they are in danger of being caught by the chasing group. Ryan has bridged across to Homer, and he wants to get points back because the podium is changing. Like, the Omnium, this race is far from just deciding the Omnium on the spot. It's so open. First down till maybe 8th, 9th could possibly win it currently with how it's performing. because we've got sudden lane change after this, and then Summit Islands. You never know how your body is going to react after this many races, as Jonathan is blocking Ryan. Oh, Ryan is thinking, what is happening? As a newer racer, Ryan is having fun with this, but let's not forget that Velocity Vixen, not too long ago, were the first to open that can of worms, and that is actually what initially sparked the whole debate about blocking. As Ryan goes, me? It wasn't me, it was the guy next to me. As Jonathan, oh, let's Ryan on by. This is fascinating to watch as somebody who is new to the platform, watching how they first succeed. It's kind of like, I don't want it to sound so bad, but my sister has just gotten a new puppy. And when you bring back a puppy for the first time, how they react in a new house, like what do they first go and check out, etc. That's kind of what this reminds me of. So now, Niels on the front. Oh, watch Ryan with the counterplay. Quantum shift is a power you're given. I think Jonathan was trying to slow him down. He goes, I have been racing on this platform longer than you have. I know what the quantum shift does. He uses this and goes right on through Jonathan Giron. On the front, we did see Niels with a power-up. He is racing away. He is fighting. He just needs to stay within reach and keep the chasing group behind. Because I think Niels's and Timothy's mentality at this current point is that they are the leading group. Because Peter is so far up the road. Like, words cannot describe the effort that Peter is putting in here. Like, monumental, the effort he's putting in. And the only way to cope with that mentally is to act as if you are in the lead. Because they're not going to catch 50 seconds up to Peter, who might win by over a minute on a hard rocky mountain. And then further back, you've got Ryan, Jonathan. Those are the riders you're really concerned with taking points away, because it's all still up for grabs. Thinking of preferred zones, by the way, if you're wondering who's got preferred zones today, it is Timothy Tamont, who's on screen right now. It is Tim Fulford, not here today. Frank Garcia, not here today. Kale Laguna is racing. Timothy, as I mentioned. Homer has this as his preferred zone. Ryan Goldenberg has this as his preferred zone. Sebastian Kuhn, who's down with the Butts, has his preferred zone. The washing machine. I'm not sure that's a nickname that's going to stick on or kick on. Peter Kastrup has got this as his preferred zone. Niels Heldens, the Tempest. René Validates, the executive jury, judge, and commissioner. Kerry Connerberry and Santiago. Shout out if you remember Santiago Ruiz in the racing, as he was around for a bit. So Peter, 3.5 kilometers remain here in Rocky Mountains. If you are enjoying it so far, make sure click that follow button down below. And if you want more of this awesome content, there's more over on Facebook. CVRcade on Facebook is the place to be. Also on YouTube, a podcast, a talk show is dropping on Friday. Make sure to be looking out for that. Now, Cycling Hub with their inertias. I think they're both getting ready. Weight lifted being used on the climb here. 30 kilograms less for 10 seconds, as you can see. Niels used his inertia here last time. I think he may be trying to go over the top and see what he can do with it. Now, Casey shared an interesting nugget in the last zone. He said that, you know, weight lifted isn't always best used on the climbs. And that made me wonder, maybe it's best used on the flats, because I'm not sure how much CVRcade takes weight into account when it comes to climbs, because if it's all physically equalized, I'm not sure if that's the opportune time to do it. So maybe on a straightaway, so where you pop weight lifted, get the speed up because you weigh less, so with more force you go quicker, and then use inertia. But Timothy and Niels here, excellent teamwork all around. They've got Ryan Goldenberg, who wants to chase them down. He wants to just take some of those points, because he could move up 2 spots on the podium here if he can close down 15 seconds in 2.5 kilometers. Now, that's a tough task, but it is doable. But I want to tip my hat. Jonathan Giron, the effort. Again, I cannot understand. I cannot understate how incredibly awesome this is from Jonathan in here, pushing these watch, pushing himself to the limit, 200 is the max speed, is the max equalized heart rate. He's at 244, breaking boundaries. And it's not like, you know, when the car says it can go to 240 and you've got it up to the top, but you never actually get to 240. He's at 244 right now. And definitely a Ford Mustang here as he's pushing it. The pocket rocket, Ryan's got to be careful. He may just catch him to the line. But there's a lot of racing left because Peter Kastrup is almost a minute ahead of second place. And what this is doing, I'm not sure how the algorithm works in regards to the next event in the Omnium. Because if it's from the leader, then what Peter's doing is forcing everybody else to having less rest. If he wins by a large margin, if the algorithm takes into consideration the first rider over the line, then that's eating into everybody else's rest. Because after every race, you get about 3, 4, 5 minutes rest. Well, if Peter's going to win this dominantly, then the next race, which is sudden lane change, granted, it may not need that much rest for it, but mentally, you need to recover from the pounding that Peter Kastrup has just laid down here non-stop. Just jabs everywhere. Cycling Up has done a good job reacting to it. Nils and Timothy, they've really come into their own here, taking turns on the front, sharing the load here as one takes the win, then the other, as Timothy perhaps just letting go a bit too much. Jonathan Giron, Sebastian Kuhn have made connection here on the slopes of the hill. So on the descent, Sebastian Kuhn needs points. Ryan tries to move on over. That was not a disco move. He was trying to move on over to the right. But Jonathan Giron once more goes in front of Ryan. And Ryan just gets a taste of that Jonathan Giron. But as Jonathan now with inertia, Niels as well, Team Cycling Hub with synchronized inertias over the top here. They must be in communication as both of them cross over the top. Sebastian Kuhn has attacked on the hill further back. Jonathan Giron in hot pursuit, but Sebastian does not want to let him back in. He knows how strong of a racer he is. But there's plenty of racing left for these racers. But only 200 meters remain for the undisputed champion today of Rocky Mountain in Zone L. What this man just did rivals Jonathan Giron for performance on the day, as Peter Kastrup can take the win here on Rocky Mountain, allows himself a smile and doesn't even look phased. Further back, there's a possibility here that Jonathan Giron gets back on terms. There's a minute left. They've got a straightaway coming up. We go back and see where Jonathan is. Jonathan has left Sebastian. Niels uses Quantum Shift, but with about 400 meters remaining here for Jonathan, it's gonna get tough. Timothy and Niels. Niels comes on through. Will there be any hand-holding, any gifts in the Cycling Hub camp this time around? I don't think there's any coming around Niels Heldens at this point, as he goes on to take the win here. Take second place on Rocky Mountain. Timothy third. Jonathan Giron will be fourth, and Sebastian Kuhn is going to be fifth, with Ryan Goldenberg down in sixth. The faces tells you everything you need to know. And for those that did this the second time around, we salute you. That was great to watch. Ryan was up against some blocking, and now this is the highlights on the screen. Next race up is a sudden lane change. We saw Quinton Molyneux put on a masterclass in how to do that in the last zone. We'll see what happens in this. 3 minutes is the break, so there's a bit of break for the racers. But Peter Kastrup, in his Zen mode, that is a dangerous man to be up against. But the podium, 7 points down to Timothy. Niels is 128. Sebastian further down. Congratulations, Peter. That effort, I mean, that was something out of this world. How?
Well, it's very simple, really. You go to the start line, and then they say go. And then David Bowie starts singing Heroes, and then you keep going. You can't do anything else on that song. So, and when it ended, Heroes, I was in the front, and I just kept on going.
That was going to be my next question, because what do you do when it ends? Do you go back to start and go again? I'm not sure how the whole David Bowie Heroes comes in, the whole magic, but I'm sure that everybody right now is quickly going onto Spotify, onto their Apple Music, onto YouTube, going, oh, David Bowie Heroes. But Peter,
Yes.
all that effort in the last race, now it comes down to your technical ability. Sudden lane change, what do you think?
I'm glad you call it skill or whatever you call it, but most of the time it's lack of skill. But like I said before, I try to learn from my mistakes. But on these courses, my learning curve is it's not so steep, so it takes me a little longer than most others. But I'll get there, I'm sure.
We'll see. Thank you, Peter, for the interview. I'll let you get ready. Get a word with Niels Heldens once more. Second place in the last one. You really had the teamwork dialed in there, Niels. We got a bit more time. How are you feeling now? Sudden lane change coming up. Second time for you. Have you nailed it?
As to how I'm feeling, this is a family-friendly stream, so I won't say too much. But this course, I like it. It's probably going to be good fun racing. The flat tire, not a fan of it, to say the least. But we need to make the best of it. Obviously, second Omnium for me today, so I'm pretty knackered. Let's see what we get.
I like it. I'll let you get back to texting Timothy or ordering pizza. Not sure which of the two it is, as the racing is coming up. The racing is getting close now. If you are enjoying it, if you've got a fan favorite, leave it in the Mixer chat, because this is about to get spicy. Flat tire power up, uncrashable. I think we're going to see a lot more premature flat tires, because the first lap is where you can do the damage, especially the first 100 meters, and we'll see if some are going to take that up. Sebastian Kuhn here on the screen as we get ready. First lap up. Anybody exploding out of the gate? Just not yet. It's Timothy on the front. It is Sebastian Kuhn as well. First flat tire, Peter Kastrup on the right, as he's the first to use his. As the second one gets back, the counter attack. It's all about the rhythm here as his heart rate monitor comes back. That was a small scare, but two power-ups have been used. Allison comes on through, and if you don't use it here, if you save it for later, you've got to stay within limits. Allison has done well on sudden lane change. She's got the rhythm. She did win Summit Islands in the last zone, and this is where she starts coming into her own. But who would have thought? Peter Kastrup off in his own world on the front. But can we see if the pressure gets to him? We could be heroes here is running through Peter Kastrup's mind. But that song, I think it only lasts about 4 minutes. We've got 6 minutes of racing. What happens in the final 2 minutes of sudden lane change? As we stay on Peter here for a bit. He's up against the other racers as Sebastian is chasing on. Allison further down as Timothy and Peter here sharing the screen on your mobile phone or wherever you're watching this mixer stream coming on through. Timothy's in a bit of congestion as Peter, he's got again, we saw the same thing as Jonathan Giron uses his power up, and Peter's taking longer than the rest. His acceleration there significantly longer than the one from Sebastian Kuhn. Sebastian Kuhn of Cognition is in hot pursuit of Peter Kastrup. Anyone can win here, honestly. It is such an open omnium, considering we've got plenty of racing left here in sudden lane change and some tough, nail-biting racing on Summit Islands. Power up from Homer Thompson. That is uncrashable. Timothy is coming back. Timothy, oh, he's moving to the right. 3 riders all near each other here. This is nail-biting. Anyone can make a mistake. Allison is back. Niels is back. Ryan is further back. Oh, passing just through the one pylon. Next one from Ryan Goldenberg. He is late to the party, but power up gets used nonetheless. I asked Quentin in the last zone, how did you feel about it? He was like, oh, those mosquitoes are not nice. They definitely do hurt. But Peter Kastrup, Timothy Tamont are pushing each other to the limit. Pressure is the name of the game here. Will Peter Kastrup succumb to it? So far, he is defying every expectation and flying high. Oh, quick maneuver, both from Sebastian and Timothy. Excellent maneuveration there from Timothy and Sebastian. Not only dodging the barrier, but dodging the congested lanes from the butts. Peter at 194, he's choosing the outside lane here. He's got to be careful with the corner speeds. He's coming through the barricaded section here. He's got Timothy on the inside. These two, if he can get them up side by side, are absolutely putting on a show of just nail biting. Everybody's sitting there thinking, who's going to be the first one to make a mistake? You got Timothy on the right, you got Peter on the left, Kayla with a flat tire, and again Peter just takes that second longer to accelerate up again. But then Niels goes with his, and again Timothy is on it. As you can see, the pylon, you got Peter in the middle, Timothy on the left, and 1.9 kilometer remain. This race is so important for the overall standings. The Omnium is on the line, but also points for the seeding. But with so many flat tires, your rhythm is gone. Your rhythm is in the night. And we see now as Timothy moves to the left, Peter as well. Sebastian is fighting Allison and Ryan further down. Jonathan Jerome with another stellar performance. Kudos, my man. That is very impressive. Niels Helden's down in 7th. Maybe those points on Rocky Mountains could be decisive here, because Timothy with another 6 points would not be very far down Peter here. But can we take a moment to appreciate Peter Kastrup? I make fun of him a lot for his crashing. It's all in the name of the game of fun. But what we're seeing here is massive improvement. But I do fear excitement could get the better of the Flying Dutchman, the washing machine cadence from Peter Kastrup. When he starts to see the finish line, when he realizes he's made it, is that where mistakes can be made? Peter, oh, there's the mistake! There is the mistake! He hits the back of Margaret, and then Sebastian goes down, the commotion. Woo, everybody going down. We'll catch that replay, we'll dissect it later on, but it opens an avenue. Power up from Sebastian. He wants to get back in. He is not happy because Margaret is the sinner. She was the one that Peter Kastrup hit the back of, and despite Sebastian's power up of a flat tire, it wasn't enough. How does, excuse me, how does Peter Kastrup, I swallowed a fly. How does Peter Kastrup recover from this? Oh, he doesn't! Oh, the crash. I was just about to make that comment. And then Sebastian goes down again. Oh, the two riders side by side from a winning position. Down, down, down. And there's holes in the ship. Somebody send someone down before it take on too much water. But Allison, great racing now further up as she is coming into the racing as well now, as she's in 2nd place. Timothy in 1st, 3 seconds up the road. 600 meters remain. I think it's still one last lap. We're on the last half bit. Oh, and Allison goes down. She touches the side of the barrier, and that allows Ryan to come on through. Now he's at 4th on the Omnium, but Peter Kastrup is fighting to get back on terms. Any points he can salvage here is big ahead of Summit Islands. 3 laps. Has anyone got any power-ups left? I think Timothy may still have a flat tire remaining, so he might want to use that as he crosses the finish line. But we'll see. 200 meters left. Just 2 mistakes from Peter Kastrup. He was racing so well, commend him on it, but when you start to see the end of the line, when you can see the finish line, that's where you let your guards down. When you feel the knockout is imminent, that's when you start just opening up, like choking your body, and Timothy Tamont taking the points he needed on this one. Fighting for 2nd place, Ryan Goldenberg will come over the line. He'll be happy with that. Peter Kastrup in 3rd, as Sebastian Kuhn tried to come around him with the power-ups. Not much left there. Allison will take 5th, and Niels Heldens slips down the podium into 3rd with a 6th place finish. Oh my goodness, we need to have that instant replay of Margaret Peter on the screen, because that is where it all started going downhill for the Flying Dutchman. He came around the corner, he didn't see the bot. You can see from above there, he might be safe, but there is a lapped rider on course, and he goes right into the back. And then in the commotion, Sebastian and Peter, they try and overcompensate, and they go down, and we see it again. That is once more gonna haunt Peter's dreams, but there's still plenty of racing left here as we watch the finish. 3 laps of Summit Islands is all that's left here on today's menu. There is a chef special tonight for Zone T, so if you want more racing, that starts in about 7 hours time. So make sure to click the follow button down below. We've got one more race today, but then later on tonight, we're going to see Mo T.P. Kelly, Luis Sobraniz, we're going to see Jennifer Garcia, and Beth York will be in the commentary booth. Timothy Tamont, a much needed victory, but that did not come easy. I think the question everybody asked is, how much did you pay Margaret for that block?
Just some waffles. She likes them. Nah. It was just, I think the main difference there was the jumping after each flat tire. I always just kept jumping him. Peter was a bit slower, so yeah, he pushed way harder, but me, every time somebody used it, I jumped and I got right to his wheel again, or close enough. I just kept saving mine. I didn't need it. I used it in the end at the finish line, but I didn't need it. Great racing. But this is another beast.
3 laps. The beast.
Why? That's too much. Why?
I thought you would have said 3, but the streak
I can do 1.
is alive. Whenever we see that celebration, you go on to win the Omnium. The legs, the mind, are they on the same page coming into this race?
Well, the legs aren't for sure. The mind is there, so hopefully that pulls through, but the legs, yeah, no. And let's hope my chain doesn't drop again like last time, Summit Islands. That was no fun.
That's all user. That can all be prevented by the user, so don't rapidly change it, Timothy.
Yeah.
That is the final note. Peter Kastrup. Oh, so good. So close. And then Margaret. That one block, Peter. Oh, do you wish you could take that back?
No, it's all in the game. I almost had a perfect race, with the emphasis on almost. So I'll try again next time. But it was a lot better than I used to do on this track, so I'm really happy with this one.
What's the song choice here? You need a victory over Timothy. What's the go-to song?
Right now it's Oasis. It's pretty good. Don't Look Back in Anger. I think that's the one to choose for this one.
Could not be more fitting. I like it, Peter. Final word of the day. Niels Heldens have been racing brilliantly. Niels, you've got a hungry pack of wolves behind you gunning for that 3rd spot. Last race, do you have what it takes to keep that podium spot?
Well, I'm not used to being hunted by wolves, so let's see how that goes. I think it'll be good. It's a longer event, but it's very hard. It's a course that can be broken down into 2 parts, the descent and the climb. And the climb is pretty hard. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Good luck, Niels. 10 seconds remain. Niels is in a good 3rd spot currently, but Ryan 4 points back. Sebastian 10 points back. Allison also further down. The eyes are all on Timothy Tamont. Peter Kastrup here on the front. Who will it be that comes on through to take the win here in Zone L? Week 3 of the bracketed session in the CVRcade World Cup. All coming down to this in Zone L as we conclude the night of racing on Summit Island, the Beast. Timothy off to an early start. We go back and just have a look at the other raiders doing our due diligence. Jonathan Giron in 14th, Homer Thompson 11th, Kayla in 7th, Ryan down in 6th, and he'll need to catch up to Niels Heldens in this one. Peter in 4th. But what we saw in Zone K was that early standings don't tell you the full story. Vibeke Bertram, Alison Kubona absolutely nailed on the timing of negative splits. Like, you can come out guns blazing, but if you're losing time, if you're losing watts every lap around, ooh, Peter, just too late there on the lane change. But it doesn't matter. You've got to come into it. Finish strong is the name of the game. As Niels Heldens crashes, overlaps the wheels, and that could be the podium for the Tempest as he keeps to get back on. But that is not a place you want to crash, because you're crashing on a 4% gradient, which means you have to go back over the top. You can see him screaming some words. Oh, Timothy and Peter! Oh, that got close. Peter and Timothy almost overlapping wheels, and Peter's playing with fire here. I'm not sure he's got a fire permit, because now, side by side, the two of them are getting on the descent. Timothy's trying to force a mistake here of Peter as Timothy moves over to the right, and he wants to, and he goes to the left. I'm not sure what that strategy is all about. Those two are moving around. Sebastian down in third as he is coming blazing on through in the middle. He's going to play wrecking ball here. I think, oh, everybody's slowing down. Everyone is scared of Sebastian, and all three racers are coming into this. All spots on the podium are up for grabs. First and second between Timothy and Peter. Then you've got Sebastian. He wants the third spot. This is his kind of racing. Mental, strong, physically demanding. Push down the watch you've got and never look back down the hill. Timothy versus Peter Castro. This is where Timothy will start to struggle, because Summit Islands is a very tough course on these hills. He's already done some of it earlier today in Zone K, and here in Zone L, he's just going to need to try and find his rhythm. But Peter Castro has got some watts. But Peter needs to win. The points that he left open in the previous race means that Timothy is currently 1.5 points ahead of him. So unless Peter doesn't win, it will not be enough as long as Timothy finishes down in third. Sebastian, though, first lap of racing here on Summit Islands. He's on the front, jumping away, racing away as Peter Castro comes on around. The yellow racer here. He's got his yellow avatar. You can see him standing up. Definitely yellow on the webcam as well. As you can see, the CCC squad is pushing on through. I know Ben, Nigel, Homer, they're all watching around saying, come on, Peter. This is your chance. You can do it for the team. We've been lacking that top spot on the podium. We've been fighting forward. It's just your time to shine. But the equalized heart rate is up from Peter. Further back down, we watch how the pros do it. Ryan Goldenberg in fourth. Allison is a threat in fifth. Timothy there almost overlapping the wheels with Orion, as you get that in the replay. If Timothy messes up that timing by a half a second more, he goes down. Race over. But we're seeing an excellent effort here. Nils passes Allison on the left. He wants to try and defend his podium spot, but he needs to catch Ryan. He needs to catch the Sebastian further up. Plenty of racing left. He's breaking it down into two parts of the race, but you've got to do those parts 3 times. Peter's crossed the line for the first time in the front. But what we saw in sudden lane change may very well become the truth here once more in Summit Islands, because the pressure is really what makes the difference. Because once you're in the spotlight, once you're in that zone, it can be difficult when you see somebody coming up from behind. Now, Timothy and Niels did let 8.5 points open on Rocky Mountain. If Timothy had taken that 8.5 points, he'd currently still be leading and be able to come third and win the overall Omnium. As Peter Castro just gets a bit of water on board casually, doesn't need a beat on, doesn't need a bottle. He's got a glass with him. That is class from Peter Castro out of the Netherlands. But we go back. Ryan Goldenberg, Timothy Tamud. They're on the second climb here, the easier climb of the two. But when you've done this much racing, it's not necessarily the easier, as they all pretty much hurt equally. So with the scoreboard on the screen, you can see the points. The points are ultimately what people are racing for today. They want to improve their seeding on cycle data. They want to improve their overall position going into the last week, the week 8 here of the Elite Omnium Series finish. And then week 9, of course, is the grand finale. 3 kilometers remain, and we go back to Niels Heldens, because There's a good fight here for third spot. Ryan, Sebastian, Nils are all fighting for the third spot on the podium. Nils got it in the last zone. Now is the question, can he do it again in this zone? But he's got to dig deep. He's got to go to a place he's not used to going. And that's what we're seeing with Sebastian with his power-ups. You get 2 weight lifted, 2 racer's edge, and he's just using them at every opportunity. Rather, apply the pressure, use it, and see if you can force somebody else to make a mistake. But the way Peter is racing on the front, pushing down the power, that's going to be a tough ask as Ryan comes around. Timothy goes down. Oh, the blocking. You can see Ryan just, I'm not sure whether that was laughing or pointing fingers. We'll see from Ryan. We see a bit of smiling. If we got Ryan's audio here, it'd be interesting to hear what all the commotion is about. What happened there, Ryan?
You're going to talk to me at Summit?
Oh,
yeah, he turned in.
Oh. Thank you, Ryan. That's all we need. Why don't you get back to your work? That is the cruelest of the things you can do to a man. Going up a hill at max capacity on the steepest gradients. But for Mixer, you will do anything here on the CVRcade World Cup. So Timothy did turn into him, and this is going to be a tough task. Nils further back. This now puts even the third spot into question, as if he falls further down. If Homer, Jonathan, Kayla come on through, Timothy could be in a world of hurt. And there's a lot of points there that are also left up for grabs. There looks to be about 12 points difference from being in third down to sixth. But when you're swerving across the road, when you're trying to utilize all the lane you've got available, mistakes like that can happen. Last attempt, last lap on Summit Islands. If you've enjoyed it, Mixer Chat, make sure click that follow button. It's just down to the left. If you're watching on mobile, take your finger, take down to the left, click it. It takes 2 seconds and it makes everybody happy here. If you're on a computer, you've already got your hand on your mouse. Just move the mouse down to the left. Not the house. Move the mouse down to the left. Click it, and you'll be notified when we go live, which we do on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at Zone K, L, and T. And if you're not sure what those mean, head over to the CVRcade or Riders Forum on Facebook for more information. Now, there's a good battle going on between Sebastian and Ryan. Whoever finishes higher of Sebastian and Ryan here will get third spot on the podium. And Sebastian has used the majority of his power-ups. Ryan still has a few left, but Allison is coming back too. And Allison here, I think it's going to be a tough task to make up 40 seconds to Peter in one lap. But, I mean, again, she's done what she always does. The first lap takes it somewhat easy. The second lap, she takes it somewhat harder. And then the third lap, she just has all this energy while everyone else is going the opposite way. But Razor's Edge is being deployed here by Ryan Goldenberg out of Canada. 16 seconds is the difference, but I think he's looking as much backwards as he is forwards. As Timothy leaves more points, he gets caught by Homer Thompson, and it can be so demoralizing racing this course because you fought so hard, but one mistake can take you out of the racing. Last kilometer for Peter Kastrup has just been unbeatable today. When Peter Kastrup comes to show on sudden lane change on a high skill course, then this is a man to watch out for. Tournament is coming up next week, and winning by over a minute on Rocky Mountains. He has got some power. It seems like Peter's racing with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove, as he's going to have to be careful he doesn't hit into the back of Kayla. But 500 meters remain. Peter in first place. Sebastian in second. Uses another power-up. Razor's Edge. Almost like clockwork. Exact same position. He rocks away with it. Nils and Timothy down in 6th and 5th are working together to move on up. Allison here. Oh, she goes down. She was just using Razor's Edge through the corner, and you can see her leaning in, trying to make her avatar stand back up. Unfortunately, that is not a feature in the game yet. And not only are the racers racing longer today, I can feel my voice starting to give out. So, great racing all around. And if that doesn't make you click the follow button down below, I'm not sure what does. Peter Kastrup finishing off a majestic effort here today on Zone L Racing in the CVRcade World Cup. Back with a bang is the washing machine, Peter Kastrup, as we watch him take the final few pedal strokes, stand up, dance away, and the Flying Dutchman flies once again as Timothy Taman's got to be careful using all his powers, but he's safe. Peter Kastrup happy with that one. You can tell because his smile's a bit wider than normal, but don't get much emotions from Peter Kastrup. That's as much as you get as Sebastian Kuhn now has to finish. He's got 20 seconds back, but he's fighting, he's rocking around. It's good to see the judge from Germany laying down the law. So a respectable third place here today. This is by no means easy with how they race. This is probably up there as one of the toughest omniums they've had to do. And now Homer Thompson is starting to go back as well. So we'll watch Sebastian Kuhn as he crosses the finish line here, as he's just wishing for it to be over. That's a great highlight. Thank you, Sebastian. Ryan Goldenberg, Alison Kubota next on the line. Just kudos, Ryan. 2 zones back to back. Competitive in both. So close to the third place. Only 2 points off. We'll cross. Next, we'll just take everyone off. Alison, she's grinding left and right. The cadence, feeling it. She's bouncing. And now she'll be the next one to finish. Homer Thompson here with a very respectable finish as well to Summit Islands. Good to see him in there as he's fighting with Niels Heldens, who falls from the podium. 3rd spot, down to 4th, down to 5th here in the Omnium Zone L. Just one crash, one race. I'm sure that's going to be more from the Tempest as more racing continues on Thursday for him. And then the biggest fall of them all, Timothy Termont. Let's go in here. Timothy, before we go to the replays, crashed early. What happened?
I thought I was safe, but with these lags, that wouldn't have mattered. Massive effort by Peter. Kudos. This is just demonic. No other words.
Well, it sounds like
Timothy. I got nothing.
Timothy's going back to camp. He's going to do some more riding the CVRcade camp to see what he can do. 3 laps of Summit Islands got the better of him. Now he's got to make sure he finishes ahead of Jonathan Giron. But let's roll the highlight once more here. So, Sebastian Kuhn, tongue out, ain't got nothing much left. But that was not the highlight we were setting up. This was the highlight we were setting up. Peter Kastrup finishes a well-earned victory here on Summit Islands. Absolutely love the winning celebration as well. You can just tell how much this means to Peter when he slightly moves his left arm over. So, as business as usual for Peter Kastrup, rocking away, rocking in the homemade CCC t-shirt, matching points for getting bonus points ultimate. And now we catch the finish here. Peter, what a race. You absolutely destroyed the field in Rocky Mountains and Summit Islands. This has been your day. I mean, this has been really good racing for you.
Yes, it has been. I feel like I can do another one. I can do another Omnium. But kudos to those who did two in a row. Must have been really hard. So it's not fair to compare their efforts to mine because I was fresh in this one. So yeah, kudos to them. I don't know if I could have done this when I had done the previous Omnium as well. So, but it felt good.
Now you say you say you're fresh enough to do another Omnium. I have a special offer just for you, Peter. In about 7 hours' time, Zone T begins. I will give you entry for free, but special offer. You've got to say you're doing it in the next 5 seconds.
Oh, I think I'll pass.
Oh, special offer only for you, Peter. No, I respect it. It's late in the night. Congratulations. Now, is this a show of what's to come? Because I know you haven't been quite yourself recently. You've struggled a bit. You've been trying to find your form, but now the Flying Dutchman is back.
Yeah, it feels like that. At least today it does. Last Saturday I wasn't quite there yet. I couldn't keep up with Niels and Quentin and Timothy. But today I felt really strong. But well, this day is not the same as all the other days. So every day is different, so we'll see what happens. Just try to go fast every time.
Yes, I believe so as well. Thank you, Peter. Now, Sebastian, that's it. We just saw the replay. That's perhaps one of my favorite replays ever, the tongue out towards the end. You finished third on the day, Sebastian. Are you happy with that effort?
Yeah, I did not feel very good today, and I had to use the small cock on the last climb, and I nearly rolled backwards. Kudos to Peter, he's riding from another planet.
Good racing though, Sebastian. I am excited to see once your legs get back on. Thank you so much for the highlight. That looked rough on Summit Islands, but more from you as we go back on to Thursday for racing. Final words of the day go to Ryan Goldenberg. Back-to-back zones, competitive in both. Third in the first. Was it second? I'm not kidding. It's so long ago, I can't even remember. But Ryan, good racing all around. How do you leave today?
There's too many laps of Summit Island ago for me to remember what happened in Zone K. But hey, Peter, if you want to go Zone T, I'll go a third round tonight if you'll meet me there. I know it seems like he already committed though.
Yeah, I heard so too. I heard him say, "I accept your one-time offer, Jesper. I will meet you in Zone T." I heard it. Verbal contract signed.
But here, Peter, this is to you for the Omnium. It's a good job. I know it's not an adult beverage. It's very much a kid's beverage.
As somebody who doesn't fancy syrup to begin with, that's just revolting. But you can have, you're Canadian, you get a one-time excuse here in the broadcast. But beware, I strike one. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for making the broadcast awesome. Excited to see you later on tonight. We've got some highlight to show you because Zone K and Zone L have just finished, and before we leave you off, we've got some highlights. The stories today were amazing. I have thoroughly enjoyed bringing you through today's tougher than normal racing here in the CVRcade World Cup, and the reason why it was tougher is because we're ramping up. Like, it's about to get very serious next week because right now we race for breadcrumbs. We're racing for $5 Omniums, I believe, but you know, there's $3,000 for the winner on next Saturday. Like, $3,000 is a lot of money to a lot of people. Like, most people could pay a few months of rent. They could maybe get some more diesel for the car, or gas. You know, they could buy a new bike. That's probably what most of them are thinking about. Saving up for a new Specialized Venge or a Canyon, Aero, whatever they're saving up for. And next Saturday, that is where we'll find a winner. Now, the seeding, all the information is coming out this week. It's being finalized and it's coming out. And when you read it, when you see the turbulation they have to go through, the amount of things that have to get right, we're going to find who is the best CVRcade. And that is the plan of the CVRcade World Cup. Who is going to be victorious? Who's going to be the one who's done all their homework, gone through and tested every course, had the legs on every day. And today is one of those days where we're seeing people being put to the test. How strong are they physically? How strong are they mentally? And what are their character built on? But also teamwork. Today, teamwork really came to the fore. Team Cycling Up, Team Velocity Vixen. In the first zone, they really pushed each other. Initially, it looked like the advantage was the Team Cycling Up. They had the numbers, they were whittling it down, but Ryan Goldenberg was really pushing it on the front. With the power he had, he was victorious, but then it just got tougher and tougher as the day progressed. Sudden lane change is a tough race, and it's a rhythm course. And when we compare and contrast the two zones, how they raced sudden lane change, you're seeing the racing develop and evolve. Because in the first one, for a very long time, they kept their power-ups. They kept their flat tires. They were all thinking that it was going to make a massive difference in the end. But if you've taken the Frank school of power-ups, the majority of the power-ups make the massive difference in the beginning when the stage is set, when the tone is played. And you see that in the second Omnium where out of the gate, 2 power-ups get dropped. Further in, before the first lap is over, 5 more flat tire power-ups get used. But Quentin Molyneux absolutely just played the rhythm well here. Just heard the tones he needed to play and just nailed sudden lane change. Every corner he went through it. He can be very proud of that victory, but it was hot pursuit today, and I'm excited to see how Zone T plays out tonight, because we're going to see more Alison Kubota. We're going to see Luis Sobranis, Moti Pikelny, Nigel Doyle, Jennifer Garcia. I mean, that racing is going to be so intense, and they have the advantage of going through the video of Zone K, going through the highlights of Zone L, and really digesting and taking in the information, because they get to watch how the racing unfolds and then react to it. And that's really what makes the difference here in the late zones. Is Alison, like, take note of where Alison is at that point. Alison in the early stages of Zone K, did you see that? Rewind mentally. She was on the climb, just grinding out, not in the right gear, fighting to get in the right gear, but then she fights back. From being in that position to move all the way back is phenomenal racing, as you can see, as Alison wins Summit Islands 3 laps. I tip my hat, Alison. That I cannot wait to do a deep dive on, to actually understand how, from so far back, she catches 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders on Summit Islands. That is a task and a half. And we really saw so many breakout performances. Quinton Molinez today pushing it to the limit. The man on the screen right now, Peter Castro, absolutely a washing machine today. There was no overcoming that one. That was just endless quarters as that kept running and running and running. Good racing. Shout as well to Niels Heldens, Jonathan Giron, Sebastian Kuhn, Alison Kubota, Homer Thompson, Kay Laguna, Vika Bertram, Neil Stewart, Quinton Molinez. The community is growing. It's awesome. It's the reason why we do this every week. It's the reason why it is so much fun to watch the emotions, the feels. But unfortunately today for Timothy Tamont, the streak comes to an end. The lion roar has been tamed as Peter Castro does win the Omnium in the end. But this finish on mountain bike by Jesper is a masterclass in how the gameplay has evolved. Timothy reading the situation in real time, making every decision without any hesitation, and he knows exactly how to beat Peter Castro and then executes on it. This is not easy at 198 equalized heart rate. At absolute max capacity, he's reading the situation like it's in slow motion and making the right choices. That is a tough one, as Ryan is saying, come on through, Sebastian. Both Sebastian and Ryan on Rocky Mountains were feeling it. But again, the Flying Dutchman flies once more as he is back. Timothy just saying, oh, he's off the road. Good racing all around. And again, if you've enjoyed it, I cannot remind you enough. The follow button down below makes all the difference for us. If you can click it, you get notified when we go live. We go live every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday. Later on tonight, I'm going to sub in with Beth York. She's going to come in here. She's going to take over. She's going to do a much better job than I did today here in the commentary booth as she guides you through Zone T. It's the Americas zone. You're going to see Cognition in particular go up against CVRcade, CCC, and Velocity Vixen as that racing is going to get heated up. And there's a lot of points. I mean, there's a risk tonight to be a new points record being set in the CVRcade World Cup history. As we watch sudden lane change. Peter Castro just fantastically racing here. Really the surprise, but then one mistake. Margaret, one waffle too many being offered from Timothy Tamont. She just couldn't resist. I'm more surprised that Timothy had any waffles left to offer, but it turned out to be the right thing as Margaret forced Peter Castro to make a mistake, and then he goes trembling down the rankings, finishes third, as Timothy Tamont wins sudden lane change ahead of Ryan. Then the Beast, 3 laps, Summit Islands. That is one that if you go on to win, you should honestly print out the results board, hang it somewhere in your wall, and every day you feel a bit down, you look up at that print and you go, I did that. If I can do that, if I can mentally push myself to do that, I can do anything. That's a course that's a lot of fun. but it's widely regarded as the toughest course in the CVRcade tracks because of the gradients. Now, we have a great interview with Ben Shuilong going live on Friday, discussing parts of this track as well as his other tracks, as well as his new track, Metropolis, that is soon hitting the production servers of the Canary Worlds, I believe. But this is all the racing for today. If you have enjoyed some KNZoneL, I will remind you quarterly for one final time to click that follow button down below. If you want to get involved in the racing yourself, it is CVRcade.com. Free to play, free to download. It's open beta. Get on your bike, get riding, get fit, have fun, win prize money. And on that note, we'll see you later tonight. But no, Beth, your goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.